Hello everybody, Merry Christmas, welcome into the channel, and let's do just a quick sound and video check. Let's make sure everybody can hear me. Might need to get some more lights in here. It's looking a little bit dark, so bear with me for a moment. I'm trying to get started and just jumping in here. Audio, video good. Thank you, Douglas. I see Douglas Biggers, our moderator and friend, is in the chat room there today, and I'm just gonna grab a light. I'm sorry, I'm gonna be off camera as I try and get things. And I've been trying to get this set up for an hour now. You guys have no idea. All right, let's just bring this light over here and make some room. And see if we can look a little more intelligent, or at least a little brighter. All right, let's see how that looks now. Maybe a little too bright. Let's bring it down just a little bit. Maybe like that. Maybe that'll be good. All right. And my hair is still wet. It'll come together right by the end of the show. It'll look great. Welcome into the live stream, everybody. Merry Christmas. Today is December 25th, 2017. I have no agenda for the show today. I'm going to try not to work. I just want to talk to you guys and have you guys talk back. How's that sound? We're going to find out how it sounds as we welcome everybody into the chat room. You're going to constantly be seeing me look off in this direction, and that's me looking at the live feed and reading your comments. So just a quick Merry Christmas to Leon Sims, Sam Corona, Irving T, Catherine Anna Hauserman, our moderator and parts list creator over at the Facebook fan page. Merry Christmas. Mark Walters, Johnny JJB, Singh Saab, Mark Adlard, Official Tech Gamer, Ben DeCure, Big Honcho, Jamsed Dalal, Darren Gilholm, T Vento, I think that's Tony, Gabriel Martineau, Phil Goodall, Anvid, Jose, Ben Shaw, Patrick, Manny, Bud, Bob Barnes, Stephen Barber, Chris Easy Does It, Rosalio Alep, oh man, it's already scrolled off the screen, Peter Radomin, Laurel Jimenez, Stephen Huxtable, all of you guys. All you guys, Merry Christmas. Thank you for joining me, and tell me what's on your mind. What's going on today, guys? Did you get anything good? My nephew, who I built a computer with, gave me a great present last night. He upgraded his Xbox, and he gave me his old one. So I still have an Xbox 360. So I now have finally moved into Xbox One. And then if that wasn't good enough, this is how well he knows his uncle. He was sure to include Star Wars Battlefront, which I have been wanting to play, but I can't play it on an Xbox 360, and I've been so busy anyway. So I'm about 2 or 3 years behind everybody else. But that was very nice of him. He could have sold it, and used the money to buy other stuff. But instead he gave it to his uncle, and that was really cool. And I got to get it hooked up and then end the stream so I can go play some Battlefront. So I hope everybody had a great Christmas or whatever holiday that you guys celebrate. I hope that you got everything you wanted and a little bit more. I'm just gonna give myself a little elixir of life here. Gabriel Martinu has contributed $2. Thank you for your contribution, Gabriel. It says, Wi-Fi, always have to go into the CMD to reconnect. Well, we need a lot more information, Gabriel. We need to know, what operating system do you have? What make and model router do you have? What are you typing in the command line to reconnect? Everything should be done through the interface, through the operating system. When did the problem start? What security are you using? Did it ever work? Does it work other places? Also, a lot of bright people watch this channel and join us in the chat, including you. But not everybody knows everything, so it's great for everybody to just do this information share, where if you do ask a question, if I don't see it, or I'm busy rattling on about somebody's question 35 minutes ago, other people in the chat will provide their opinions or their answers to you, and of course, you can take them or leave them. But it's all a community here, so it's not just all on me. And of course, if you know the answer to something, put it in the chat and please contribute. This is live right now on December 25th at 1:17 in the afternoon in Phoenix, Arizona. So if you're not watching at that time, then obviously it's not live. But because it is live right now as we do this, your participation is ultimately what results in how much you enjoy it, I suppose is what I want to say. Sam Corona has contributed $20 to the channel. Thank you, Sam. He says, Merry Christmas and thank you. Really appreciate all the support and contributions to the channel. Everything helps, and we're just, I'm trying to get this up where I can do it full time. I'm working towards that goal, but right now I just do the videos and these vlogs when time permits. It just so happened today turned out to be a good day for it. So, great way to spend Christmas with you guys. I think I'm gonna have to get some glasses on here to see the chat a little bit better. I'm sure as the years go on, you're gonna see you're gonna see glasses more and more. All right, let's see if we can read. That's the only thing. The screen is big, but it's far away. I'm gonna have to figure out how to resize this. I suppose I can make the fonts larger, couldn't I? Let's do that. Jakey Pierce has contributed £2. Thank you, Jakey. He says, built my sister a new computer and she loves it. Well, you're a good brother. Well done. Stephen Huxtable has contributed £2. He says, here you go, Kerry. Well, thank you, Stephen. I appreciate your support and contribution. I really appreciate it. Thank you. Is there going to be a Tech Vets tomorrow? Last I heard, yes. However, things can and often do change at the last minute. But as of right now, there should be a Tech Vets tomorrow. Tech Vets is a free digital audio broadcast that I do with Mike Smith in Philadelphia. He's a computer technician with his own business, as am I, and we share our stories, our tales from the trenches, our frustrations and our accomplishments, and the obstacles we've had to overcome in running our own business. And I really enjoy doing the show with Mike, and I hope the listeners enjoy it as much as Mike and I enjoy creating it. Bob Barnes has contributed £50. Wow, that's very generous, Bob. Thank you so much. He says, here's a late Christmas present, Carrie, and happy holidays. Bob, thank you so much. That's a very generous contribution, and I really appreciate that. What time will Tech Vets be on? Well, that is the question, isn't it? Usually, Mike likes to get started somewhere around between 5 p.m. and 8 p.m. Eastern Time. I think we were talking about the 5 p.m. show, but I'm not sure yet. I haven't spoken to Mike in over a week, so I'm sure tomorrow in the afternoon, probably about this time in the afternoon, or later tonight through email, we'll nail down the day and the time. I hope that it will still be tomorrow, and I hope that it'll be around, if it's 5 o'clock Eastern Time, that'll be about 3 o'clock my time, or 2 o'clock Pacific. Kevin Pazik has contributed $10 to the channel. Thank you, Kevin. I appreciate that. That's wonderful. I appreciate all the support to the channel. You guys are amazing. Thank you so much. Have you ever considered getting a Patreon? I did get Patreon. It was nothing but a pain in my butt, so I just completely disabled it. A lot of people, not a lot of people, but a handful of people had contributed when I started the Patreon account, but I was never able to figure out how to get the money out of the Patreon account. and I just let all the money go back to the donator. So anybody who contributed to the Patreon account should have gotten their money back when it was never collected. So part of the problem is just finding the time to sit down and learn to do things, stuff like that. So it's a lot easier using the YouTube app or using PayPal, which is what I promote. On the Tech Vets homepage, there's a donate button, and you can contribute there at any time. And I'm not really here soliciting donations, but if people want to contribute and support the channel, it's always welcome at all times. People tend to be a bit more generous during the holidays. With that thought kind of comes to mind, which is wonderful. Don't get me wrong, but it's an ongoing thing as I continue to invest in better equipment, and eventually, if I can get a studio, that's really the trick to the whole thing. If I can get a studio, then I can broadcast full time. I'm still working on that because if I get a studio, then my expenses almost double, and the amount of money that YouTube generates for me doesn't even cover the expenses I have now. So what happens if I double those? It doesn't seem like that'll be a death spiral. So it's got to be kind of a gradual climb until either enough subscribers or enough views will raise that YouTube revenue up, or I start some sort of a subscription-based thing off the side of YouTube. So sort of like a paid content for one set of special content for people who contribute, I guess is what I'm saying, or for paid subscribers. But that still does create more work, because now you've got to create a database and maintain it over who is paid, who hasn't paid. It just adds to more work, which means less videos. I've got to figure it all out, guys. I'm working on it. So right now, everything's still the same as it's always been, bringing you the shows as time permits. And the channel has been growing. It's just a very slow, steady growth. I did the show celebrating 150,000 subscribers back in January, and it's almost been a year. And I thought we'd hit 200,000 6 months ago. So the growth has been extraordinarily slow, still well below 200,000 subscribers. That's not even 50,000 in a year. That may sound like a lot to you guys, but when you see other tech channels with millions of subscribers, and I'm at, 1/10 of that or 1/9 of that, it's a little discouraging, because I feel like I can do better, so I just have to keep working on it until I crack that nut. Ben Shaw has contributed £2. Thank you, Ben. And Raymond Brasias has contributed $40. He says, Merry Christmas, Carrie. Thanks for all the help. You've made this fun rather than scary. Scary Carrie. Thank you, Raymond. I appreciate your contribution. That's very generous, and your support and kind words mean a lot to me. I had tried going to, this is the kind of luck I have. I went to try other platforms to expand the channel out, just taking the content I already have and just distributing it in other places. So one of the places I uploaded a bunch of my content that can be found here on YouTube is over on vid.me. And then a month later, vid.me sends an email saying, we haven't been able to figure out a strategy to generate enough revenue to make vid.me successful. We've tried for a few years now, and we just can't figure it out. And so we're shutting the channel down as of December 15th. Vid.me is gone. Well, that didn't work out. So then I did Twitch, and I still have stuff going on Twitch, but definitely not as active as YouTube. So I keep coming back to YouTube. Steel Horseman has contributed $5. Thank you, Steel Horseman. And Austin Dabbert says, Merry Christmas, Carrie. Hope you're having a great day. Well, I am now that you are here, Austin. So thank you for joining us. Richard Shaka Khan says, I love your channel. It's honest and your builds are great in an and I'm an old guy, so being 57, it's refreshing to see real-time actual builds that people can actually use for work. Well, rats, if 57 is old, I'm in trouble. We're back to the Wi-Fi question. Windows 10 after update, I always have to do ipconfig release renew. I think it happened after an update. I just did a fresh install. That was easier for me. Sounds like maybe Windows Update replaced a driver. You could probably go to the manufacturer of the Wi-Fi card and download the driver and use that. Or you could have gone into the device manager and reverted the driver back to the original Windows 10 driver rather than doing a whole reinstall. Ben DeCure has contributed $50. Thank you, Ben. That's very, very generous. He says, Merry Christmas, Carrie. I have a Dell XPS 8900, Windows 10 Pro, 64-bit for work. Last week I had a hard time starting up the computer. He had a firmware download request. I'm not quite sure what these words are. A7 me FW downgrade. Request me spy lock error. Working fine now, but any suggestions for a fix? I don't know if that was autocorrect going crazy or if you're speaking in code, but I'll need you to clarify what your error is and what the problem was. Peter Rademan says, greetings from Montenegro. Juan VRZ, please, could I have a shout out? Of course. Merry Christmas, Juan. And Ben says it's working okay now, but his sound is messed up. Oh, that's Ralph. Ralph is saying, since latest Windows 10 update, my sound is messed up. I haven't experienced these problems, but again, you could always go back to the sound card manufacturer and look for a driver and see if there's a newer driver available. Catherine Anna Hauserman, who is our moderator here in the chat, says she thinks she knows what Ben is referring to. Well, Catherine, jump on in there. Don't let me stop you. Tech Helper Guy says, greetings from Stansted, UK. Merry Christmas, Carrie. Space Ghost says, new updates change. Most settings have to go back and reset them all. Simba says, hey, Carrie, Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas, Simba. SLB veteran says, I am 57 also. Still feel like a teenager at heart. That's it. And Severo16. Hey, Carrie, shout out from Portugal. Loved your videos since a long time ago. Merry Christmas. A lot of people, a little trivia for you. On my mother's side of the family is Portuguese. So my joke has always been, you know how people, this will be my new stand-up platform. You know, if you tell somebody you have a dog and they go, what kind of dog do you have? And you go, oh, I have a German Shepherd. A German Shepherd, I love those. Wouldn't it be great if they did that with people? Like, I just met I got a new friend, his name is Carrie. Oh, what kind of human is he? Well, he's part Portuguese and he's part Hungarian. I love those. People don't do that. I think they should. Ben, Catherine is talking to you in the chat. If you see it in there, she's asking you to send a message. If you've already, okay, he's seeing it. So Ben, send another message. Sometimes if you hit us in a really busy time, it could fly right by, and don't fill out any of the forms. Just actually send a message to the inbox of the Facebook fan page. And I encourage any of you who are looking for either build advice or technical support, free technical support, visit the Facebook fan page, not my personal page, the Facebook fan page, and send a private message. Don't post it publicly, send a private message, and then the admins there, the volunteers there, will do their best to answer your question. You will get an automated response about filling in a form. Just ignore that. I hate those forms. I think I'm going to do away with them. There's a couple of other admins who like them, but they haven't been active. So because of the admins that are active right now, we're just asking that you just explain in an email what the situation is and tell us about your computer. Is it a desktop? Is it a laptop? If it's pre-manufactured like Dell or HP, what's the model? What's the operating system? And then what is the problem, and what do you do that makes that problem happen? And based on that, we can help you. If you don't provide us all that information, if you just go, my computer's not working, then we're going to fire all those questions at you. So it just delays getting the answer you really want. If you give us all the information you can anticipate we're going to need, then we can respond and give you an answer much faster than the back and forth to finally, squeeze the information out of you that we need to answer your question. So just keep that in mind, unless you're very patient, in which case we can just ask you one question at a time, and within about 4 days, we should have all the questions that we need to be able to provide you some advice. What kind of phone do I use? I have a Samsung S8. Sean Serrano says, Kerry, you inspired me to build my own computer. That's awesome. Can you make a video about making a home server? No, that's not really what novices do, so no. I don't really believe in home servers anyway. Just get yourself a network attached storage device and be done with it. Portugal is waiting if you want to visit. One of these days. Could you wear a Santa hat? I'm sure it's possible. I don't have one. I think I left it with my sleigh and my reindeer. Justin Havu says, Merry Christmas from Berwick, Maine. Big Pete 222 says, Merry Christmas, Kerry. Peter from London, UK. Do you plan to do any PC diagnostic videos soon? I just did one yesterday. Was it yesterday? It was the day before. Day before yesterday. Basically what happens is it's a computer repair service, and I turn the camera on to show you some of the repairs that I do. I have no control over when the system will come in for repair or whether or not I will get authorization from the customer that I can film it. So those two things have to align, and when they align, I film it, but it's not planned in any way, shape, or form. It's just the phone rings, customer goes, hey, my computer's down. Sometimes I help them over the phone or remotely. In cases where I have to go get the computer and then I can bring it back here and they don't mind if I film it, that's when you guys can see those diagnostics. Basically, the advice I give the community is, if you want to see anything on my channel, then send it to me to have me do it. If you're local to the Phoenix area, certainly I could work with you in solving any problems you're having, or it gives me content for the channel and you get your computer repaired. If you're outside of Phoenix, it may not make sense to ship your computer to me because it costs about $120, somewhere right around there to ship a computer, depending on how far it's going and how heavy the computer is in each direction. So you're going to look at a minimum, just in shipping cost, of about $250, shipping it to me and me shipping it back to you within the U.S. And then, shipping outside of the U.S. just isn't practical for anybody. So I won't ship outside of the U.S. But for the most part, if you're looking to see a certain kind of build or anything like that, let me know. Don't let me know, contribute that. In other words, if you have a system that's not working and you want to send your system in for repair, certainly is possible if you're within the USA. Otherwise, enjoy the free content as it becomes available. I don't know any other way to, I'm not going to break something and then pretend to diagnose it, because that wouldn't be real. Everything you see on the channel is real. I have no control over when it happens, why it happens. It's just about opportunity in the right time. Merry Christmas from Raining Wales, UK. Enjoyed the videos and learnt a few new things. Well, that's awesome. That's from Stuart. I'm not sure how to say your last name, Stuart. Batevel? Is it true all the Welsh can sing? I hear everybody in Wales can sing. You're all good singers. I know you have amazing choirs, but I've heard every individual, every Welsh person has a good singing voice. So clearly, I am not Welsh. Merry Christmas, Carrie, from Northeast Scotland. That's from Ian Scott Johnston. Feet up, beer to hand, magic. Nice. Carrie, have you tried the new Coke Zero Sugar? It's good. No, it's not. Sorry, it's not. It's disgusting. Hi, Carrie. Merry Christmas. What do you think about water cooling? I've used plenty of water cooling in builds. Merry Christmas from Norway. Love your videos. That's from John Lee. So my wife's descendants are all Norwegian, and that's on her bucket list to visit Norway. One of these days. One of these days. It's very, very expensive. So I'm going to have YouTube doing a lot better for me to make that trip to Norway. Is it YouTube that needs to do better, or is it me that needs to do better? Paul Hudden says, Merry Christmas, y'all, from Texas. I was told the difference between a person from Texas and a person from Oklahoma, because to me, to my ear, they sound the same. But if you tell them that, they get offended. It's like telling a Kiwi they sound like an Australian. They don't like that. So I asked a person from Oklahoma who was offended when I said, oh, your accent is just like the Texans. She said, oh, no, it's not. And I said, well, give me an example of how it's different. And she said, when I say y'all, it means there's more than one of you. There's a group of you. When a Texan says y'all, it may just be you standing there they're talking about. I thought that was funny. But I also think it's true. Night Lurkin says, hello from Belgium, Carrie. Keep going. Thank you. Evidence Savant 12 says, Merry Christmas. Paolo Acone says, greetings from Amalfi Coast in Italy. Merry Christmas from the Netherlands. That's from Anthony Kuipers. Martin Green says, A up. And Merry Christmas from us Yorkshire lads and lasses. Texans also say Ewans. Where Ewans going? Can I go back to onboard graphics just by removing the graphics card? Usually you can just plug your monitor into the onboard graphics without having to remove the graphics card. That's usually a setting in the BIOS you can turn on or off. So long as the onboard graphics is enabled in the BIOS, it doesn't matter if your video card, if you have a separate video card plugged in or not, it's irrelevant. If you unplug the graphics card, then obviously the BIOS should default to enabling the onboard graphics, because otherwise you won't have any at all. Xavier Gamer says, Merry Christmas from Miami. Merry Christmas from Ohio. That's Dance Forever 79. Randy Shackelford, Bluetooth earbuds are so much more convenient. I was trying Bluetooth earbuds and I found the delay was driving me nuts. When I would have a Skype conversation, or I'm editing video trying to use wireless Bluetooth headphones, it would happen on the screen and then there's like a few milliseconds before the headphones would kick on. And then when the audio would stop, the headphones would turn off. You know, when they came on, maybe I just had a cheap pair of Bluetooth headphones, but it was, or it might have been my Bluetooth adapter that was cheap. But it would switch on and switch off, and it would switch on just a little bit too late after some noise or sound had started, and then it would switch off after the sound had started. It was really, really annoying. So with wired headphones, you know, you have that static sound, background sound, or room tone. Justin Havers contributed $5. He says, I love the reality aspect of the channel. It's definitely entertaining to watch, and it's helped with the way I handle computer-related issues. Thank you, Justin. Thank you for the contribution, kind words. Appreciate that. And of course, Merry Christmas to you and your family. And of course, a huge, huge thank you and shout out to the volunteer admins and moderators of the channel and the Facebook page who contribute their valuable time to help complete strangers on the internet for absolutely nothing in return other than a thank you and some abuse. I don't know what's wrong with these people, but God bless them that they endure some abuse. They do it for free. They do it because they enjoy doing it. And we're very lucky to have them. And so, you know, a huge shout out and clapping the hands to all the names you see in blue that are appearing in the chats, not just today, but in previous and in future broadcasts that are live. They take a huge load off my shoulders for kicking out the trolls and keeping everything civil in the chat room and making sure that our community maintains people who support each other, who are kind and considerate to each other, and those who try to poison the well then are kicked out and keep everything happy, peaceful, kind, considerate. It's very, very important to me. You know, the benefit the benefit of charging for the content is nobody will pay for the content and then troll it. It's just not going to happen. The only time you get the trolls is on free content. So it is sort of a price that is paid in order to bring this to the vast majority of you who do appreciate it. But boy, there's some folks out there who really, really get off on ruining for other people. And, you know, they're going to die like the rest of us. And if that's how they want to squander their precious time on this planet, that's their choice. But if we spot it here in the chat, they get kicked right out so that we can focus on actually being productive and friendly and have good moods and not bad moods. So we're doing really good today, too. It's been wonderful. In fact, the last few podcasts, getting fewer and fewer trolls. So that's just wonderful. I hope that continues into 2018. Carrie, what is your furthest client? Well, I built computers for people across the United States, and they're clients just as much as anybody else. But as far as retainers go, probably about 40 miles. So the mods are pretty much troll hunters for sport. Sure. I mean, they do more than that. But that, to me, that's one of the most important things they do, is to make sure that that the chat is not flooded. You know, there's people asking legitimate questions or trying to get a message across to me. And then when trolls flood that with just abusive things or distraction, I may never see the nice person maybe shouted over. So it's best to just kick those people out. So we reward and encourage a community, a good, solid, supportive community here. And anybody who tries to destroy that is not welcome. And that's a big, big, important task for the moderators. Johnny ICT Man, I gave a shout out to you, Carrie. Shout out where? I guess it doesn't matter where. Thank you. Thank you, Johnny. Atif Munar says, Merry Christmas. Thank you, Atif. Atif, Merry Christmas to you too. D. Litton says, wants to see if he can get me to do a full video on a Skull Canyon build. So the Skull Canyon's like the long, skinny Nook from Intel. If you want to order one, I'd love to do a video on it. I'm sure it'd be super easy. I'm sure you could do it yourself. Performance on it should be wonderful. Merry Christmas to you from a fellow American. That's Paul Hack. Thank you, Paul. Atif says, I'm from Canada. But does Skull Canyon come with a power cable? I think it does. Lance says, hello from your home state of Michigan. I live 30 minutes east of Grand Rapids. Merry Christmas. Well, Merry Christmas, Lance. And anybody from Michigan is already a good person in my book. Not that everybody else isn't, but I just know, because I'm from Michigan, I know how people there are. People in Michigan, there's always exceptions, but overall, wonderful, wonderful people. And I bet you have snow right now. I don't even know what that looks like anymore. I've seen pictures of it on the internet, though. And I do miss it. I miss the snow. Do you have a Plex server? No, I don't do that. I don't do Plex or any of that. G Thunder says, I live near West Branch, Michigan. I don't know where that is. He says, yeah, we have a lot of snow, about 4 to 6 inches of snow on the ground. Nice. Big Honcho says, Toledo, which is in Ohio, got 4 to 5 inches of snow yesterday. One foot of snow here in Idaho. Wow. Onvid Jose says, no snow here in Central California. Well, I should hope not. Maine has about 6 inches of snow. That's from Justin Havu. You want some? Come get some snow. We have snow here. You can have it. Yeah, just ship that over here. It says it's snowing here in Sand Lake, Michigan. Telford, England got almost 10 inches of snow last week. That's from Liam Sims. Yeah, we don't get snow or rain. We just get dust all year round. It's the benefit of living in a desert. Sign me up for that dust, rattlesnakes and scorpions and cactuses. That's beautiful nature. You can make your own snow. Yeah, that's going to happen. I'm not saying I love the snow. I said I miss the snow. You understand? When I move back to Michigan and it snows, it won't bother me. I won't go out of my way to make snow or to be in snow. I won't drive 2 hours north because it's snowing there. When it snows, I will welcome it. That's all I'm saying. A lot of people are like, oh, Michigan's great, but the cold weather, ugh. I would love the cold weather. You know, the colder it is, you just put on more clothes. The hotter it is, doesn't work that way. You can only take so many clothes off. And yeah, I would much rather be in a cold climate than a hot one. That's me personally. WBR 1451 in the chat says, Merry Christmas from Vienna. No snow here. It's all in the Alps. When it snows, I complain about it. When it doesn't snow, I also complain. That's my kind of guy. That's Hellgas Trooper in the chat. Garrett says, hey, Carrie. Garrett here from Ontario. Lots of snow. Yeah, well, I used to go to Ontario. Well, Windsor. I used to go to Windsor, Ontario a lot when I lived in Detroit. It was common place we went on weekends. You would not like Iceland. I don't know. I've seen pictures of Reykjavik. It looks nice. It's desolate though. It kind of feels like a desert, just a cold one. But I wouldn't mind visiting there. Super Dodge Boy 93 has contributed $10 to the channel. He says, Merry Christmas, Carrie from Chicago. Thanks for the great content. Really enjoy your videos. Thank you. Thank you for, again, thank you for the kind words. Thank you for your support of the channel and your contribution. I really appreciate that. Merry Christmas to you. Any more SpaceX videos planned? Well, you know, Elon Musk, he's launching a Falcon Heavy, which is basically, so the rocket you saw that I filmed, he straps 3 of those together. It's insane. You know, rather than designing a different rocket that has more power, he just goes, why don't we take the rocket we have, and we need 3 times the power, so we just strap 3 of them together. We already have the rockets. Why do we need to redevelop a new rocket? He's absolutely brilliant. And he's putting his original Tesla Roadster in the payload section, and they're going to launch it out to Mars, I think, in a few weeks. And I think it's launching from Vandenberg. If it launches from Vandenberg Air Force Base, I have it on my schedule to watch for all the launches out of Vandenberg and what time they occur. Obviously, if it occurs during the day, or if it occurs when it's really cloudy or overcast, which isn't very often here in Arizona, I don't know if I'll be able to see it. I've never seen any other launch before. But that doesn't mean it wasn't visible. I just may not have been looking. The fact I caught that one was just by chance. So now I've made it a point to go to the launch website to see what launches are coming up. There's like 30 launches coming up between now and June, but I think only 6 of them are at Vandenberg. And Elon Musk has said, if you thought that was spectacular in the sky, wait till you see the Falcon Heavy, which is 3 times louder, 3 times brighter. And anyway, yeah, that one's sending his Tesla Roadster in orbit around Mars, which is pretty freaking cool. So I will watch for when that's going to take off. If it's taking off from Vandenberg, I'll pay attention to what time it's taking off and go set the camera up in anticipation of it in the hopes that I'll catch it. It's pretty easy to kind of have an idea of pointing the camera to the west into the sky. And, you know, if that Falcon 9 rocket, if one Falcon 9 rocket looked like that, imagine what 3 of them strapped together will look like. So I hope I'll see it. I'll tell you what's strange. That's one of the most popular videos I've ever posted. It got like 45,000 views in the first 48 hours. I think it was over 25,000 views in 10 hours. It was crazy, the number of views. The views have slowed down now, though, but it just was, I stepped out of the house at just the right time. Otherwise, it would have happened. I would have never known. Dion Cross says, Merry Christmas from Newfoundland, Canada. Thank you. Merry Christmas to you. Dark Ops says, Merry Christmas from Romania. Are you going to build a Ryzen system anytime soon? That's a very good question. Am I going to build a Ryzen system anytime soon? A Ryzen system. What is this right here? I have this box sitting here. I'm not quite sure what I'm going to do with it yet. I think Catherine Hauserman in the chat room knows what this is about. So I think the answer to your question is no. I mean, yes. Sorry, little Monty Python in there for you. It'll actually be, I can show you another part. I'll give you another little tease. It's Christmas. We're doing a little budget light gaming build in a mini ITX form factor, and that will entail using one of these, and using one of these. Huh? What do you think? You guys approve? And it'll all go into a little mini ITX Corsair case. That's all I'm telling you for right now. And I won't be building it. So technically the answer to your question is no, I will not be building one. However, my niece, a special guest, will appear on video who's never built a computer before. She's in college. She needs this for her dorm room. That's why it's got to be cheap and it's got to be small. And so, Ryzen made sense for this build. And maybe that'll be built, what's today? Today's Christmas the 25th. Maybe like the last couple days of the month, like December 28th, 29th, or 30th, but maybe 29th and 30th, 31st, somewhere in there. Maybe the 29th, maybe the 30th. I hope we can get together and she'll build the computer. Should be fun. I'm really looking forward to it. Like I said, she's never built a computer before, so I will guide her. I will give her instruction, but she will do the work. And I've already warned her that when we're done, she's probably going to want to build another one. So we'll see what happens. Did you get RAM for it yet, and is it compatible with the board? There's not really the RAM issues with Ryzen like there was when it first came out. I'm not anticipating any RAM issues. We have all the parts for the build. RAM should work fine. If it doesn't, we'll cross that bridge when we get to it, but I don't anticipate there being any problems. And I trust that Catherine has put together a good parts list. I've double checked it. It looks good to me. I think we're going to use some Corsair Vengeance LPX RAM in there. And Corsair Vengeance LPX RAM is pretty much compatible with everything last I checked, but it is a budget build, as Catherine has just confirmed in the chat. And yes, it will have Windows 10, because using Windows 7 on brand new hardware is really unwise. You can't take advantage of any of the performance optimizations or the full power of the modern hardware with Windows 7, because Windows 7 engineers didn't develop Windows 7 for hardware that didn't exist yet. And while there's workarounds that'll make it work, it'll simply work better with Windows 10. If you want Windows 7, I suggest to buy a computer that was built for Windows 7. So don't buy the latest and greatest computer to put on an old operating system. Buy an old computer to put on an old operating system. Your experience will be much, much better. If you insist on taking the latest and greatest hardware and putting on an old operating system that was never designed for it, you're in for a bunch of headaches and obstacles to overcome. It's your time, and you're welcome to do it. And it can be done, but I guarantee you, when it's all said and done and you invest all that time and effort into the tons of updates that have to be downloaded and installed, the location of drivers, if they exist, when it's all said and done, it still won't run as fast if you would just put Windows 10 on it, which you could have done probably in 1/10 of the amount of time without any of the obstacles. So I would just say, keep the operating system compatible with the hardware if you want to have a good, positive building experience. If you're an experienced technician, nothing will hold you back from doing whatever you want. If you're a novice and you've never done it before, you may never want to build again if you try that, because you will be frustrated. And there may be parts of your build that simply won't work due to your inability to know how to locate drivers or to understand what other drivers may be available. So you may end up with no sound, or you might end up with no network card, or some other piece of hardware that's just not functioning. So I would say new build, Windows 10. If you have an old computer laying around, or you have you're building from old spare parts laying around, then Windows 7 is fine. But I wouldn't put Windows 7 on brand new hardware. It's just not a good idea. I have a video showing you how to do it. Doesn't mean I recommend it. But there were a lot of people asking how to do it, which is why I made the video. Is the Xenos system ready? Xenos? No, far from it. I've been so busy I haven't had time to get back to it. Because the Xenos system is my system, unfortunately, everything for me has to wait. All my customers have to come first. And this time of year, things get super, super busy. It always does. And so I'm just prioritizing all of my paying clients, making sure they're all happy. And then once I'm caught up with that work and there's no paying clients waiting, then I can work on my stuff. Are you mixing cola with whiskey? No, why would I ruin my cola? It tastes terrible when you put whiskey in it. Where is the link for the Facebook page for getting on the right build for me? If you go to Facebook and type in Carrie Holzman YouTube fan page, it'll take you right to the page, right in the search of Facebook. It's also on practically every single video I've ever made. You go to any other video in my library, click on the video notes, and scroll all the way to the bottom, and you'll see the link to the Facebook fan page there. It's not on this video right now because my streaming computer is sort of in a... I've got two different hard drives in it, one for streaming and then one for editing. And the reason for that is I'm encountering these really weird random blue screen errors when I live stream using the computer with the editing software on it. I don't know what's going on there. And because it's intermittent, it's very difficult and time consuming to try and diagnose. So what I did is I just reinstalled Windows 10 on a spare hard drive, put all the basic drivers on it that I needed, did not install my wireless driver, did not install the internal capture card driver. I've not installed the NVIDIA driver. I'm just using everything raw from Windows 10. Whatever Windows 10 installs by default is what I'm using. And I live stream from that boot drive, and all the blue screen errors have gone away. Of course, now that I've said it out loud, it'll probably happen. No. It's like, that would be superstitious, and I'm not superstitious because being superstitious is bad luck. I know some of you just got that. Others might think about what I just said. What app would you recommend to use videos on my server? I use an Amazon Fire TV into my television, and I connect to my network attached storage drive, and all of my videos are on my network attached storage, and I just load the free VLC software onto the Amazon Fire Stick, browse my network to my NAS, and all of my videos are right there, streaming perfectly in HD or even 4K right through the Amazon Fire TV into my TV. Any USB Wi-Fi adapter recommendations? No, basically you want to buy the Wi-Fi adapter that is equal to or greater than the Wi-Fi that your router supports. If you have an N900 router, then you want an N900 Wi-Fi or faster. If you have an AC 1750 router, then you want an AC 1750 Wi-Fi adapter to achieve the greatest speed and range. You can use any Wi-Fi adapter with any router, but one or the other is going to be your bottleneck. You will not be able to take full advantage of the speed of your Wi-Fi unless both the Wi-Fi router and the Wi-Fi adapter are capable of achieving the fastest speeds. So whatever the router can put out, you want to do as good as or better than that. So if you have a wireless N router, then you want wireless N or better on your adapter. If you have a wireless AC router, it'll have a number. Whatever that number is, you want to match that number or higher. If you don't, it'll still work. It just won't work as fast. And it certainly doesn't give you any room to grow either, because if you get the bare minimum and then you upgrade the router, you will not see any performance difference because your Wi-Fi adapter is what's been slowing you down the whole time. Now, when you're considering buying a Wi-Fi adapter, you might consider buying the same brand of a Wi-Fi adapter as your router. If you have an ASUS router, you might want to buy an ASUS Wi-Fi adapter. And the only reason you would want to do that is if you're a novice and you don't know what you're doing and you might need to call somebody for help. If you call ASUS, if you call any manufacturer, and you go, I'm trying to connect the Wi-Fi to my router, the first thing they're going to ask you is, what are the brands of each device? And if the brands don't match, one of the brands is theirs and the other brand is somebody else, they'll say to call them. And that's exactly what the other company will tell you. So the only advantage to buying the same manufacturer is if you need support, they have to help you. They can't say, well, sorry, we don't help you with your D-Link router on our ASUS adapter or your TrendNet adapter on our ASUS router. They just won't help you. So you need to have both made by the same manufacturer if you anticipate that you're going to need support getting it configured from the manufacturer. That will ensure that they will help you. If that's not important to you, if you can figure it out on your own or you'll get support online and you're not shy of that, then you can buy any adapter. And then at that point, just look for one that's as good as or better than what the router can, what the Wi-Fi on the router is. That's my advice there. So there's not any one size fits all for everybody. It's very much dependent on what hardware you have uniquely. What is your favorite access point? I don't use access points. Can you say hello to Brandon? Hi, Brandon. Merry Christmas, Brandon. What are some known SSD problems? Depends on the model of SSD and the age. The older first generation SSDs had problems, but the modern ones are too new to say. Matt Shendon says, Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas, Matt. What is my favorite router? The router I'm using now is an ASUS RT88U, which I made a video on. I'm loving this router. I really like it. And if I had to choose a different router, I would choose a Netgear Nighthawk router. I haven't actually used one or even held one in my hands, but everything I'm seeing online and from people I know and trust that are technicians have nothing but positive things to say about them. So that would be the two, a Netgear Nighthawk or an ASUS RT88U. Basically, you're looking at a router that's about mid 200, $250, $300 router, about $250. That's the kind of router I need. Doesn't mean it's the right router for you. I certainly didn't get my father when I replaced his router, and I showed that video where he had that old US Robotics Wi-Fi router, which was just sad. And I got him an ASUS N900 router for $10 after rebate. And it's overkill for his needs. Do you think a GTX 1060 is a good card? Well, it depends on what your expectations are. Again, there's no such thing as this is a good, it'd be like saying, do you think this meal is good? What I think tastes good and what you think tastes good is impossible to say. I can't tell you what you're going to like. Nobody can. So depending on how much money you're willing to spend, and the best example I can give is a funny story. So I'm working at a factory. We're building computers, and the foreman rings the bell because the roach coach is outside. So there's a food truck outside, and they're getting breakfast. And we all go to the food truck. We get breakfast. We're sitting around a table, and the manager, the foreman, is sitting across from me, and he's eating. It's a paper plate and a plastic fork. It's just cheap food truck food. And he says, this is pretty good, bacon and eggs for $4. And that confused me. My brain was like, that doesn't make any sense. So I stopped eating and I looked at him and I said, you're telling me that you like it for $4, but if it was $8, then it wouldn't be good? And he stopped and he thought about it and he went, yeah, that's exactly what I mean. My brain doesn't work that way. If I like something, if I'm eating something, it tastes good or it doesn't taste good. Money affects how much you get, the quantity. Did I get a lot of it or did I get a little tiny bit for what I paid? For somebody to say this tastes good for $4, my brain doesn't work like that. It tasted good or it didn't. $4 had nothing to do with how it tasted. So when you ask me, Is this good? When you ask anybody that question, the only answer they can give you is from their perspective and not yours, and therefore any answer you get is completely worthless unless somebody is exactly like you. So that means, is a Ryzen good? Is a Threadripper good? Is MSI good? Is Gigabyte good? Nobody can answer that question. We can talk about support. We can talk about value for dollar. But ultimately, you have your own set of values. You have your own set of expectations. And it is absolutely impossible for anybody to provide you with an accurate answer, guaranteed that it's going to be exactly what you expected, because only you know what you expect. Is it better to use an M.2 drive over an SSD as a boot drive? I'll tell you why I like M.2 drives. It's easier to build, and there's no cable management. You don't have to deal with a power cable or a SATA cable. You don't have to worry about, am I plugging it into the right port? Not that it's going to boot no matter which SATA port you plug it into, but ideally your boot drive is in SATA port 0. That's my OCD. With an M.2 drive, it makes the build so much easier. It makes your cable management so much easier, and you will end up with an overall cleaner look. An M.2 SATA versus an SSD 2.5-inch drive SATA operate at exactly the same speeds, and they cost within a few dollars of each other, so there's not a big price difference. In most cases, the SSD may be about, at most, $10 cheaper. In some cases, the M.2 can be cheaper. It really depends on the manufacturer. I like to use Samsung or SanDisk SSDs, and when it comes to M.2s, I really prefer Samsung overall. In fact, I've got an ADATA M.2 drive, and it's pretty good, but it was cheap, and it's used. You'll see me use it in like external M.2 USB storage and things like that. But I much prefer M.2 just because it's so easy, so much easier. You don't have to worry about, screwing down finding the holes to mount the drive, and like I say, the cables. Let's just plug it in, one screw, you're done. Do you need an SSD for gaming, or is a hard drive good enough? Nobody can, again, nobody can answer that. That's your decision to decide if it's good enough. For some people, it is good enough. For other people, a hard drive is not good enough. You ask that question to 10 different people, and half of them will say yes, and half will say no. Who's right and who's wrong? It just depends what you prioritize. I don't know what you prioritize. But there are $5 wines and $500 wines. Yes, there are. And does a $500 wine taste better than a $5 wine? Some people say yes, some people say no. There's a lot of psychosomatic stuff going on. If you just spent $500 for a bottle of wine and it tastes awful, you're going to feel like a complete idiot. So your brain is going to go into self-protection mode and be like, oh no, this isn't bad. It's probably more refined than my palate, so I can't appreciate it. You'll come up with some excuse rather than say, I was taken to the cleaners. I wasted my money. People generally don't like to admit fault. So can you really believe somebody who makes that kind of an investment and says, oh my God, this is a Coke that was created in 1903. It's been sitting in the bottle since 1903. I just cracked it open, and it's just rancid and sour and ruined and flat. And you go, oh yeah, that's really, really good. Now, and people do that because they don't want to look like fools. So whether they're sincere or they're lying, how do you know the difference? How can you tell? That's why it's only something you can decide. Nothing replaces experience. There's nothing you can do on the internet. There's nothing you can do virtually that replaces actually doing it in real life. You cannot adopt it vicariously. If I cut my hand on camera, you cannot feel the pain. You may wince and you may be empathetic, but you have no idea what that pain feels like. And if you do the same thing and cut yourself in the same place, that doesn't mean our pain is the same. Your experience is yours, and no one can ever take that from you or tell you that you didn't experience it or tell you that it didn't hurt that much. Nobody can ever tell you what you felt. So live your life. Don't live other people's lives. Live yours. And don't be afraid. Do your research when it comes to picking your parts to meet what your expectations and budget are. And with the right research, you should have a pretty good expectation of what to expect with the parts you pick for the way you're going to use the computer. For example, if you want to play Overwatch and you want to play it on dual monitors at 4K, you go to the Overwatch website or forums where people are talking about Overwatch or Reddit, other places, and you go, okay, what's the best video card and hardware to play this game at 4K on dual monitors? And people will give you a bunch of information. And you take that information and you go, well, it seems like the consensus is this, but I don't have that much money. So then the other consensus is that, and then you just kind of research it, and then when you build your parts, you know what you should expect for the way that you're using your system, how you're using it, and how much you're willing to spend. What computer case do I prefer to use? I like the case you see the most often on my channel, which is the Corsair 200R. And the Corsair 200R is the #1 selling case that Corsair makes. They don't sell a case that comes close to the sales records that the Corsair 200R meets year after year. It's a good, solid, no frills, no nonsense, easy to work on, well-manufactured case at a reasonable price, and nobody else that I've experienced has anything competing with that level at that price. So that's what I continue to use until I find something better. Maximum PC Magazine rated the Corsair 1 as the best case of the year. I've not worked with one of those yet, so I can't say one way or the other if I agree with it. So I tend to stick with what I know. Sometimes customers already know what they want with a case, and that's how I get experience with other brands of cases. Just those kinds of opportunities. Merry Christmas from Egypt. That's from Maragali. What's the best hard drive? Color for photos, edit, and flash animation. Whatever you want. You know, you can pick a hard drive or a solid state drive, whatever capacity you want. Whether it's Seagate or Western Digital, the warranties are about the same. Reliability, in my experience, is about the same. The cost is about the same. If you're talking about the color of the drive, you're referring to Western Digital's purple, red, green, or black series. And you can define those. Red are designed for network attached storage, and green are designed for eco, like DVR and systems where like video recording, camera, what's the word I'm looking for? CCTV, stuff like that. The black are the performance series. The blue are just the regular, normal, stick it in a desktop, you know, average desktop, where it's not the greenest, slowest drive. It's not the hottest, fastest drive. And you pick the one that's right for you based on capacity and price you're willing to spend. Once again, there's almost no way anybody can tell you what the best part is for you unless they know you really well. They know what you're expecting, how you're going to use it, how much money you're going to spend, what's important to you. Take me, for example. I don't like cases that have doors on them. I don't like cases that have one USB port on the front. That's just not acceptable to me. I don't like cases that don't have flat tops, like a lot of NZXT cases have pointy tops. I don't like those. Plus, a lot of the NZXT cases have doors. I don't like cases where they've removed any ability to put in an optical drive or any other type of bay from the front of the case. I don't like that personally. If a customer wants that, I'll build it. I don't like glass side panels on a case. I would never own one. But Other people see a value in that. And of course, I'm happy to build it. It's just not for me. That's all. You know, I enjoy cooking. And there's a lot of foods I won't eat. Lobster. I won't eat lobster, but I will cook it. I got no problem making food for others that I have no interest in eating. I had an interesting conversation with a friend of mine where I said I was really frustrated with this Linksys router I had. I hated it. And I said, you know, when I upgrade to my Asus router, you can have my Linksys router. And he says, well, if it's not good enough for you, I don't think I'm going to like it. And this bothered me because his needs and my needs are not the same. And it's not saying I'm better than him or anything like that. It's just that we have literally different expectations, different needs. And we had this discussion over dinner. And we had both ordered fish and chips at an English pub in like Santa Barbara, whatever it was. It wasn't Santa Barbara, it was Sierra Madre. So we're in Sierra Madre, we're at a British pub. Actually, I think there's only one British pub in Sierra Madre. Anyway, I don't eat peas, and so the fish and chips came with peas. And I said, do you want my peas? Because I won't eat them. And he said, sure, I'll take them. And I scraped the peas off of my plate onto his. So when he said, I don't think, you know, if you don't want your router, why would I want it? And I just looked at him and I said, did you like my peas? And he just smiled. He had nothing to say. That's, you know, there's one of those moments where you're like, I should have said that. That was a moment where I actually did say it, and it was awesome. Do you ship your builds? Yes, I ship my builds all across the United States. Once again, you're going to see me looking off to the side, and that's because I'm reading the chat. I've got a big screen over here to the side, and I am trying to make an effort to look straight at you guys when I'm answering you, but to read your questions, I have to look off camera. Still getting this whole thing figured out. Ideally, I'll have a camera right in line with the screen so that you can't tell, but for right now, I just got this thing built. This was my wife's Christmas present to me, was this big TV stand, and it's making these live streams so much easier. AKA Mazza has contributed $5 to the channel. He says, what about building a budget mining rig? Would be nice coming from you. I don't really know enough about building mining rigs now. I've never built one, and there are people who specialize in it. Basically, what I would do is I would go to Google and I would look up some mining rigs to determine what hardware is going to be the best to accomplish that. And I think a lot of it also depends on which cryptocurrency you want to mine. Just because something mines Bitcoin really well doesn't mean it's going to mine Ethereum really well necessarily. And there's a lot of other cryptocurrencies to choose from. So it would depend on which cryptocurrency you want to mine, what your budget is, and then just doing the research on that. It wouldn't take very long. Maybe an hour research should be able to figure that out. But I honestly don't, not off the top of my head, I've never built one. I've never, if I was going to do a mining rig, I'd just use the rig I've got, because you don't need anything special to mine. The only reason people are building mining rigs is to optimize mining as much as possible in the shortest amount of time. What's the make of my microphone? My microphone is a Sony. It's a VHF Wi-Fi. It's a $500 wireless microphone from Sony. It's the only one you'll see on Amazon. That's VHF. VHF or UHF? I think it's VHF. Oh, it's UHF. Sorry. It's a UHF microphone. This transmitter pack is a UTX-82, but that doesn't tell you about the receiver. But that's the microphone pack I wear. Takes 2 AA batteries. The batteries last about 7 hours, and the distance I get on it is like 200 feet. It's fantastic. Where are the dogs? Well, they're around here somewhere. So PM Crisp is saying Merry Christmas. Thank you, PM Crisp. Merry Christmas to you too. Hope everybody's having a good Christmas day. I hope you're relaxing and enjoying the day. I hope you got everything you wanted, maybe something you didn't even know you wanted. Happy Hanukkah. Yeah, happy Hanukkah. Are you going to continue the Building a Computer with My Dad series? Yeah, all that's been filmed. It's just a matter of finding the time to edit it. I'm in a particularly difficult place in editing with it because the lighting is really bad and the camera work is really bad because I'm trying to instruct my father as it's getting dark and we're standing in front of one camera and the other camera I'm holding is pointing off to the side as I'm talking to him. And I'm just trying to... It's a little discouraging to edit it because I just haven't come up with an idea yet on how to fix the... It's all into the wiring, the most detailed part. The part that really intimidates most people. The part that's really important is the most clear, is the least clear part that I filmed. Between the lighting being dark, we're standing in front of one camera, I'm holding it. I'm figuring it out, but it's a very slow process. What's taking... 2 hours to get 2 minutes of video done. So you guys will watch it. It'll be like a half an hour, 45 minutes, the next piece of it. But it will have taken me several hours, like well into 20 to 90 hours. Well, I won't say 90. I'd say 20 to 30 hours really, realistically, to get that next 45 minutes done. I've already got at least 12 hours into it, and I'm just frustrated. So I've kind of stepped away from it, and I hope to come back to it fresh, and hopefully it'll be easier for me, but I'm just struggling and not making very much progress. And then I get frustrated and have to go do something else. When can we expect more Subaru-related videos? Same situation. I've got about 8 hours of Subaru repair videos sitting in editing. I'm in a spot right now that's very difficult to edit because of some frustration Mike was having getting a bolt free, and the camera work is kind of all over the place because I don't quite know, it's not clear to me where he's at with this progress. So I have to sort of sit down and re-watch all of that and then rewind it back to figure out which parts can be cut and which parts can be left in. It's basically I have to watch it like 4 times through the editing. And when you're dealing with 8 hours, watching 8 hours 4 times, well, you can do the math on that. And that doesn't include the time it takes to edit and then watch it back to make sure that it all flows with continuity, that I didn't skip anything or we don't have any jarring jump cuts that would disrupt the flow of the video. So that is sitting in editing. I really need an editor, and I don't think editors get anywhere near the credit they deserve. It takes a special mind to like to edit. One of George Lucas's favorite things in the world is to edit. He loves editing. He'll edit something to death. But if you've got nothing to do all day but sit and watch the same thing over and over and over, your phone's not ringing, and you don't have any other jobs to do, and you can focus on that, it's great. It's great that you can sit down and do that. I don't have that convenience. I can only edit when I have time. And today, rather than edit, I wanted to live stream. It's a special day today, and I just wanted to talk to you guys. PM Crisp has contributed £5 to the channel. Thank you, PM Crisp. I appreciate your contribution and your support of the channel. Merry Christmas to you. Merry Christmas to everybody in the chat. Happy Hanukkah, happy holidays. Michael Jones says, in Winnipeg, currently it's negative 27 degrees Celsius with wind chill of negative 40 Celsius. Well, that sounds like a great CPU cooler. Just put your computer outside, pull the side panel off. You don't even need a heat sink. Apparently Greg is in the same area. He says, yeah, nice and crispy here today. Yeah. I miss that. I miss that cold air, clean cold air hitting your lungs. Oh, it's a great feeling. I haven't felt that since 1980. It's been a long time. Well, that's not entirely true. I did go to Yellowstone, and the mornings were pretty brisk. That was in the 90s. I can ship you some cold air from Maine if you'd like. No, I'd rather go to Maine. I'll come to the air. It's 12 degrees here, Carrie. If you want it, you can have it. I would love it. I would absolutely love it. I love the cold. I hear Vermont is nice this time of year. Yeah, I guess if you like white, I'd like to go to Vermont in the fall. I bet it'd be gorgeous. I've never been to Vermont. Never really been to New England, so I need to get out more. So we're just no agenda today, just chit-chatting back and forth with you guys, the viewers. If anything's on your mind, anything you have a question that I can answer, I'm certainly happy to answer it for you. Or if you just want to say hello, of course you're welcome to do that. Just jump in on the chat. I hear my phone beeping. I don't know what that's all about. Let's see. Am I missing anything? Nothing important, just people saying hello. It's always nice. Carrie, have you ever built a Raspberry Pi system? No, no money to be made in it. And as long as there's customers waiting for work to be done, for builds to be built, repairs to be repaired, systems to be upgraded, there's no time to mess around, playing around with a Raspberry Pi. Not for me. There's just not enough time in the world for me to play around. And it's a great, if I was a teenager or someone in my young 20s, I had a lot of free time on my hands. It's a great learning experience to play around with the Raspberry Pi. It's sort of like this generation's version of a Heathkit. I just don't have time for that anymore. There's so many people waiting for me. So many computers that need to be repaired. So many computers have to be built. That's all the priority. And if there was a lot of money to be made in Raspberry Pi, or Linux, or Apple, then that's what I would be doing just to keep the lights on. But unfortunately, these are not money makers for a business that I have, the type of business that I have. Which is to say, if you wanted to specialize in those areas as a niche, you could certainly make a business out of it, but it doesn't fit into the business model I have. How much profit can you make on a $30 Raspberry Pi? Mike K has contributed $10 to the channel. Thank you, Mike. Appreciate your support. Merry Christmas. Working on a Chromebook doesn't make any sense financially. If a customer paid $150 or $200 for a laptop, a Chromebook, how much money do you think they're going to pay to repair it? The amount of time it takes to repair, if you've got to open a laptop up, it doesn't matter what kind of laptop it is. It's delicate work. It's time-consuming work. And if you're charging $100 to $125, like I charge $125 an hour, 2 hours of my time has already replaced that Chromebook. These devices, Raspberry Pis, Chromebooks, these are designed to be thrown away. They're disposable. And go buy another one. When you buy your new one, you will get a brand new warranty, a brand new battery. If your Chromebook is out of warranty, throw it away. In fact, even if you spent the money to fix it, chances are Google's going to disable it when Google decides it's no longer up to snuff. And that's what happens to Chromebooks with Chrome software. Google decides, you're no longer, we can no longer support you, and then the unit won't work. So you could have a perfectly fine working Chromebook that won't work because Google has decided it's too old and you're forced to have to replace it. So they don't make sense to fix. They just don't last very long in the best case scenario. What's all this fuss about RGB lighting? Do you like it? Once again, I build things for customers. If the customer wants RGB lighting, I build it. If the customer doesn't want it, I don't build it. It's not important to me. I'm not taking my computer around to try to impress people that I don't know. It's not important to me. I'm well past that stage in my life where I care what other people think. My computer sits in a corner. You guys don't look at my computer. Does it matter to you right now if this computer that's streaming this video to you has lights on it? I don't think you guys care. You're more interested in the stream, I would hope. So it's not important to me, but I'm happy to build whatever the customer wants. If it's important to the customer gets what the customer wants. As long as I can, as long as it's within the capabilities of what I can do, I'll do it. Kathleen Burgess, sorry Kathleen, I just butchered your name. Kathleen Burgess has contributed $10 to the channel. Thank you, Kathleen. I appreciate your support and your contribution. Merry Christmas, happy holidays. Stephen Schumacher says, hi Carrie, Merry Merry. Merry Merry, Stephen, Dilly Dilly. Are Alienware laptops harder to fix than Apple laptops? Depends on the laptop and the experience of the technician. Can you put Windows 10 on a Chromebook? No. You cannot change the operating system on a Chromebook. Not that I'm aware of. It's all, as far as I know, not. Chromebook is always going to have the Chrome OS. That's it. As far as I know, that's all it can ever have. Did you go to school and get certification? Yeah, I've got certification. I don't. You know, I got to tell you something. Certifications. Here's the best way I explain this. Let me be really clear at something. Just because you have certifications doesn't mean you know what you're doing. Just because you have a diploma or an education doesn't mean you're smarter than anybody else. Just because you do something for a living does not automatically mean that you're any good at it. We've all been to doctors and mechanics and plumbers and other people that provide services where you go, how does this guy stay in business? We've all experienced that. The bottom line, in my opinion, is to not measure yourself against others based on academia or paperwork, but on your own personal accomplishments, your own personal confidence in your accountability and your reputation. That will decide your worth. Anybody who's determining your worth solely based on what certifications you hold or what education you have is making a very poor and shallow decision, in my opinion. For example, I have a degree that says, according to the degree, that I am legally recognized as a counselor. This has nothing to do with computers. But I would never counsel anybody because despite what that piece of paper says, I don't have the confidence or the arrogance to think that I can solve your personal problems. I'm certainly happy to support you, and I'm happy to encourage you, to stand behind you, and to help in any way that I can. But to say a couple is having marriage problems, legally, I can be a marriage counselor, but I have no business being a marriage counselor. Any more than I think most marriage counselors do, to be honest. I just have the self-awareness that everybody's different in how people communicate and comprehend words. It's not something I can control. So it's not really on me to be good at it so much as being good at learning how to communicate uniquely to somebody to be effective. And if you're dealing in marriage counseling, you got to deal with two different people. You got to figure out what they're listening to, what's clicking with. It's very difficult. And despite this piece of paper that says I am qualified to do that, I will never do that. No, no, no. So don't let pieces of paper in any way be a measure of your worth. You could certainly use them when you're going for a job interview to justify a higher starting salary. That's about the only good that paper is good for. That's it. Nothing else. Jelena Shadow Knight has contributed $10 to the channel. Thank you. Is it Jelena? Helena? I'm not sure. But thank you for the contribution. Counseling often becomes a part of a technician's job, especially when data has been lost. Yes, this is true. And I learned this early on, that you will have to, what I call, talk people down. People that think their life is over now because the computer won't boot, and they had photos from a vacation that they just don't have copies of, pictures of a newborn baby. Well, the baby was newborn 3 or 4 years ago. You can't go back and retake those. I've had college students that have literally worked for over a year on their thesis for their doctoral degree lose the entire thesis. And yeah, people are in tears. People are sometimes just completely inconsolable. And the last thing you need to tell people is you should have backed it up. They don't want to hear that. They don't need to hear that. Sometimes it's about what you don't say. But yeah, you will deal with people in tears, people that are I'm trying to think of the word. They're distressed. And most technical people aren't good at talking to other people. They're good at talking to computers. So it's not a good matchup. Clean My Kick says, hi, Carrie. Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas to you. Thought you were a mechanic a while back. Yeah, I went to school to become a mechanic, and then it kind of flip-flopped. I went to college to be an ASE certified mechanic. I also went to college to do video editing, but I only did that for 1 semester, so I don't know if that really counts, because it was so discouraging to try and find a job in editing in Arizona, and I didn't want to move to California. I did not want to live in LA. And what I learned in that semester was, if you want to get into movie making, you must move to LA. Now, this was in the 1980s, but it's still mostly true today. And I just will not live in LA. As much as I would love to be a director, I've always wanted to be a director, I don't want to do it in Los Angeles or New York. And with the world today, with the internet, there's no reason why you should have to, but that's just the way it is. Yeah, it's interesting. There are a lot of techs that are mechanics, but not so much the other way around. I don't see a lot of mechanics that are techs. Most of the technicians that I worked with were kept away from the customers, and that someone else would interface with the customers. We've had technicians that I've worked with be fired because when I was working at Intel, we had this great guy. He did not speak English natively, and he was really good at his job. And I was working at Intel, and he was part of my team. And one day I showed up for work, and he wasn't there. And I said, "What happened?" They said, "We had to let him go." I thought we were all a team. Wouldn't a team be involved in that decision? You're all a team unless decisions have to be made, in which case you're all just worker drones. It was really hypocrisy. It really offended me. So this guy was part of my team, and he was at a customer's workstation, and she had like a photograph of her younger self. And again, English isn't his native language, and he made a comment how she used to be a lot thinner or a lot prettier, something along those lines. It was meant, first of all, he should have just kept his mouth shut. He was trying, his intention was to say something nice, but it came out wrong because he doesn't speak English natively. And the company I was working for was contracted through Intel, and they were afraid that if they kept the guy on, Intel wouldn't renew the contract. So they fired the guy immediately. There was no, he never got his say. There was no trial. It wasn't fair. And the rest of us on the team had to step up to do his work, and he was really, really good. So all because he directly interfaced with the customer, which he had no business doing, what he thought was saying was something nice came out offensive, and because they were afraid of losing the contract, even though that probably wouldn't have happened, God forbid anything should possibly jeopardize the renewal of the contract, you're gone. It was a level of bureaucracy and red tape that had gotten the better of me, and that's why I became self-employed. Not that specific incident, but incidents like that kept occurring. No matter which corporation I worked for, I encountered the same hypocrisy, bureaucracy, and red tape over and over and over again, where politics became more important than facts. And I couldn't deal with it. My brain just couldn't process it. I was constantly put in situations where a person of power said something that made no sense. It made no fiscal sense. It made no logical sense. But because they're a person in power and you are lower than they are, if you prove them wrong, you will embarrass them and you will be fired. I got tired of it. I just got out of it. I just can't work for a corporation. And the worst organization was the government. There's so much backstabbing. It felt like I was in high school again. So much people whispering in each other's ears and making up stories, trying to move up, not by doing better, but by making everybody else look worse. That's how they move up, at least in the government agencies that I worked in. And it occurred to me that many of the people in power in those government agencies, it appears to me that they were losers in high school and they were picked on and they were bullied. And now they're in a position of power and they're going to bully you now. So that's the problem with bullies, is it creates this sort of vengefulness in what is otherwise a person who would grow up to be a nice, caring, considerate person who gets beaten and abused mentally, verbally, at a young, impressionable age, like in the school years. And then they go get a job, especially a government job, and they get into a position of power, and now they get the revenge, even though you weren't the bully. This is what they learned from other bullies, and this is why I'm so against bullying. It is lifelong damaging. And ultimately, I had to become self-employed because I just could not tolerate putting politics ahead of logic. I couldn't tolerate putting pride and ego in front of what's good for the company. And every corporation was like that, and the government agencies were the absolute worst. Ego was more important, and like I said, rather than doing a good job and being promoted on your successes, people instead focused on making others around them look bad, reporting things constantly that didn't need to be reported, pointing out every mistake somebody else made in order to make themselves look better. I don't thrive in that environment. Well, I see Bill Leatherland has joined us. Hi, Bill. Bill joined us in from England, and he's a long-time fan and contributor to the channel. Good to see you, Bill. He's a moderator here as well. Always good to see my moderators in the chat room. Merry Christmas, Bill. Have you ever tried Jolt Cola? Yeah, I tried Jolt Cola when it came out back in, I think it was the 80s. Very sugary, very sweet. I know they were bringing it back. I never followed up on that story. I remember their slogan was all the sugar and twice the caffeine. I think that was the slogan. Jolt Cola. They used to do it like Jolt Cola. All the sugar and twice the caffeine. Any new Coke collectibles? No new Coke collectibles. Todd Shock says, hello from cold Dayton, Ohio. Merry Christmas. Hi, Todd. Merry Christmas to you. I had these, I was at the grocery store. I like to snack, I like to graze, throughout the day. I eat like one meal a day. But throughout the day, I'll grab a couple of, a handful of pretzels or chips, just to tide me over, and feeling a little nibbly. And I saw these in the store. And I think, what's a way that I can cut back eating so much junk food? So I saw these chips. These are corn chips that are flavored, they're called Haunted Ghost Pepper. So I thought, well, if they're really spicy, then I won't eat as many of them, right? That's the logic I'm using. And I bought, this company makes these really hot chips, and then they had like habanero pepper chips, and I ate the whole bag. They weren't, and I'm from Detroit. Detroit's not known for spicy food. And I'm like, this isn't spicy. So I saw these and I thought, yeah, these probably aren't going to be spicy either. In fact, this company makes a single chip. It's sold in a little coffin box. It's made with a Carolina Reaper pepper. You buy one chip. And they said, how come you only sell one chip? And they said, trust us, you won't want more than one. Well, I have never seen the little chip in the coffin for sale. And when I went online, it said they're all sold out. I guess college kids will sit around a table and they each, have a challenge over who can eat the whole chip in one bite and who can go the longest before getting a drink to cool themselves down. So I saw these, and these were ghost pepper versus jalapeno or serrano or habanero. So I thought, okay, well, the habanero peppers weren't very hot to me. They are in real life, but not on it. Whatever they're doing to put it on the chip, I think they freeze dry them and then powder it. So I got these, and these are hot. And I can't decide if I like them or not. They say that when you eat spicy food or chocolate, it releases endorphins in the brain. It's kind of like a high. It's a good feeling. I can't say I feel that, but on the other hand, I keep going back to the bag subconsciously. For some reason, I'm drawn to it. So maybe that's happening and I don't realize it. But this chip's broken in half, which is about the perfect size where you don't get too much of the heat. And right now it's not too hot. It's got a nice flavor. And then you swallow it, and all the heat starts coming out. Right now I'm starting to feel it. And my whole mouth starts to tingle. This is and I'm not a fan of hot food. I've never been a fan of hot food. But the older I'm getting, and the more bored I'm getting of my restricted diet, the more I'm trying to step a little bit outside of my comfort zone and finding something slightly different to expand my limited diet. And this does work as far as, I'm not going to sit down and eat the whole bag. There's just no way. This is going to take me a while to get through this bag because I can only eat a little bit at a time. Those 2 pieces of a chip don't even equal one chip. They're big. Trying to see if there's an unbroken chip in the bag. You can see. To eat a full unbroken chip, they're all broken. Would be a little bit of a challenge for me, but that's kind of a full size. That's it. I'm done for at least 20 minutes. Ooh. And drinking Coke makes it worse. Coke or water actually make it hotter. Oh, that's good. Yeah, you're supposed to drink milk, but I'm a glutton for punishment. I want the pain. Bring on the pain. It's not really pain. It's just a tingling, a powerful tingling sensation. It's making my eyes water. Whew. See how that slows me down? That's got to be better for my diet, right? If I only eat like 1.5 chips versus half a bag. Whew. And trying to talk, which is moving air through my mouth, and it's going over my taste buds where the powdered tops of the peppers are on the chips, is making it worse. If I wasn't talking to you guys, my eyes probably wouldn't have watered, because I'm a tough guy. And the other thing I do, I'm really paranoid about touching my eyes after I've touched those chips. So I always rinse my hands off just to make sure I get all that powder off. Well, there's nothing worse than having something spicy if you have a cut on your lip or inside of your mouth or on your hands. Or if you have something spicy on your hands and you go rub your eyes. That's why when you saw me rub my eyes, I was using the back of my hand. I don't want to use my fingers because that would, I'm guessing that would burn. I don't want to know. Hi, Jimmy. Merry Christmas, Jimmy. You want a Christmas cookie? You want a Christmas cookie, boy? Do you? Do you? Do you? Come over here. Can you come over here? Can you be seen over here? Where is he? There he is. Let's get you a cookie. Let's get in here and get you a cookie. Here, come here. I want to see that. Let's see if they can see you. There's a good boy. Are you a good boy? They can't see you. What are you doing, boy? What are you doing? Are you bored? Oh, you're such a good boy. You're such a good boy. Oh, you're going to give me a kiss? You got dog breath. Yeah, you got dog breath. Oh, that's 2 cookies. Good boy. Cookie, cookie. You like that cookie? Was that a good cookie? Was that a good cookie? Come here. Come here. No, don't grab my microphone. Silly. I gotta put my microphone back on. You want to talk to the people? You want to say hello? Or are you just causing me trouble? Let me move this cord so you don't do that again. Okay, come here. Up, come here. Come here. Don't rub on me. What are you, a cat? Are you a cat? Come here. Hup, hup. Come here. We got to work on your training, huh? It's been a while. Jimmy, come here. What are you doing, boy? What are you doing? You can pat a dog hard enough that would flatten a cat. And that's why dogs are better right there. Because you can just smack them and they like it. Yeah, that's right. Tough guy. All right, well, there's Jimmy. Boy, I think it's going to almost be a year that I've had you. A few more months, huh? All right, what am I missing? Fuzzy, what are you doing, boy? I know you can hear me with ears that big. What? You want to come up here? Shouldn't teach you this. You want to come here? Come here. Say hello. Say, oh. Merry Christmas, everybody. My name is Jimmy Jim. T-Jake 801 has contributed $25. Thank you. Thank you for the contribution. Merry Christmas. What's the time in the USA, he wants to know? 3 o'clock in the afternoon in Arizona, which would be about 5 o'clock on the East Coast, and 2 o'clock in California, Nevada. (2:05 p.m. in Southern California. Yep. Yeah, California, Nevada are an hour behind Arizona. Time is 10:05 in the evening in Northern Ireland. It's a little after midnight in Latvia, 5 o'clock in Quebec, 4 o'clock in Illinois, and apparently it's 1987 in Maine. Thank you, Marty McFly. See what I did there? Never mind. Carrie, what did you get for Christmas? Oh, yeah, well, we talked about this, but I guess there's a lot more people in here now, maybe different people that didn't hear my story. So yesterday I went over to my sister's house to celebrate Christmas with them, her family, and my nephew surprised me by giving me his old Xbox One, because he's upgraded. And I still have an Xbox 360 that I never use. And not only did he give me his old Xbox One, but he gave me Star Wars Battlefront. And he gave me everything with it, even an HDMI cable, power brick, the controller. The controller even has batteries in it, like it's ready to rock and roll. So that was really nice. You know, he could have sold that Xbox One and used that money for something else, but it was really nice of him to give that to his uncle. Did my customer call me back about his Dell machine you worked on the other day? No, he's not called me back. I'll probably hear from him tomorrow.
I have another customer who just moved and they need all their computer equipment hooked up. Why they chose to move in the busiest time of the year, I don't know. And it is unfortunate. I feel it's unfortunate when people put demands on others. Basically, when you're pretty much between December 15th and January 3rd, my advice is try and put off any services you need, whether it's a plumber. I mean, if you can avoid it, try to avoid it. One of my clients is a plumber, and I asked him, because a lot of like the lawyers and doctors that I have as clients, they're closed from December 25th until January 2nd. And I asked the plumbing business, he's got a really big plumbing business. And I said, are you guys going to be open? And he goes, are you kidding me? Those are the busiest times of the year for us. So apparently people like to plug up their pipes. Maybe it's from all those big meals during the holiday season. But it does seem that, you know, when there's a water heater bursts or things like that, that kind of thing cannot wait. But when you're moving, you can control when you move. Why would you put yourself in that position to move when there's, you know, we live in a state where a lot of people come from colder states during the wintertime, either to stay or especially during the holidays to visit family where we have warmer weather. They'll say, we'll come to you. It's a good excuse to get out of their cold weather. And so a lot of people drive. When you get on the roads in Arizona, in Phoenix right now, you will see a bunch of California license plates. I don't know why, because California's weather is a lot nicer than Arizona's this time of year. It's a lot warmer in California. In Southern California, like Los Angeles and San Diego, is warmer than Phoenix. But apparently there's a lot of family, and I just start watching license plates this time of year because I'm curious why the roads are so crowded. Is it just a bunch of people in Arizona all trying to go somewhere at the same time? And no, it's the same amount of people for the most part that live in Arizona. The problem is we have all these people from New Mexico, and I mean, I saw plates from Oklahoma, Texas, just a ton from California yesterday. And, you know, they have every right to be here. I mean, I have no right to complain. It's just that I try to avoid going anywhere until all this is over. I choose as much as possible to avoid being in those crowds. It makes it very difficult to get from place to place. To give you an example, I had to be at a client's office that's about 30 miles away, and I gave myself an hour to get there. And it took me an hour and 15 minutes. And part of the reason is they're doing construction, which I don't know why they're doing that during this time of year. And we've got all this, what we call snowbirds, crowding the freeway. And this was during a Friday afternoon. This was Friday. I left here at 2:45 in the I left here at 3 o'clock. I had to be there by 4. On a normal day, I would have been there at 3:30, 3:35, 3:40. I wasn't there until 4:15. I was late. My speedometer, usually on the freeway, you can go 75. I never got faster than 40 until right at the very end. It was 40 or less all the way there on the freeway. And all you can do is turn on the radio or maybe get on the phone and talk to somebody. And what's terrible is when I had looked over, there was a huge accident. Like as bad as the traffic was going in the direction that I was going in, the opposite direction was 10 times worse. Like it wasn't moving. And then I saw why. There was a big accident in an SUV. What had happened was really bad. I later found out when I watched the news. People are driving distracted. They're playing with phones. They're messing around in their cars. They're not paying attention. So what had happened was traffic had started to back up, and so all the cars going the other way were stopped at a certain point. But prior to that point, they were driving 70, 80 miles an hour. So somebody wasn't paying attention. They were driving, I don't know how fast, but I'm going to guess it was probably 70 or 80 miles an hour. And they were playing with a phone or returning a text. They didn't realize cars were dead stopped in front of them and rammed full speed into a not parked, but a sitting still SUV
that's sitting in a line of cars. I'm sure the person in the SUV had no idea that this car was quickly approaching them. And when the driver hit that SUV from behind, the SUV then went forward and hit the car in front of them. So if you're imagining you're in the driver's seat of this SUV, and you're just sitting there on the freeway, at a complete standstill, and in front of you is a sea of cars not moving, and from out of nowhere, wham, right into the back of your car, and then you move forward into the front or the back of the next car, so you get hit. If you're sitting in the seat, you get pushed violently forward, and as soon as your car hits the car in front, then your airbag goes off and pushes you violent back the other way. That driver died. And I'm sure that driver had no idea what was going on. Might have been in the mid-sentence. Man, this traffic is really, and then boom, life is over. So I really don't like driving in this traffic. And then when I'm in a dead stop on the freeway, I'm always watching my rearview mirror. I'm not comfortable until there's a car behind me, because I know as long as there's a car stopped behind me, if anybody hits them at high speed, I won't get the brunt of it. So I am very, very paranoid when sitting on a freeway at a dead stop or at a slow speed, to always watch my rearview mirror so I can try and get the heck out of the way if I see somebody approaching very quickly where it looks like they're not going to stop. Is a really big problem here in Phoenix. It's actually a problem all over, but I just couldn't even imagine being in that situation. That's terrible. And then the same thing happened to my sister, where she exited the freeway, and there's a light at the end of the off-ramp, and then somebody just came up right behind them and never stopped. And that person had no driver's license. They were on a suspended license. The car had no insurance. And the police didn't even arrest them. The police just wrote that person a ticket. In the meantime, my sister's car was, it was a car she had just bought. It wasn't even a year old. It's an expensive car she worked very hard to earn. And the insurance company wanted her to go to the cheapest generic body shop that didn't know what they were doing. They just roll in, they fix whatever rolls in. And I told my sister, I'm like, no, you take your car to the dealer. Well, the insurance company told me, I go, I don't care what the insurance company told you. You take your car to the dealer. Well, the other place already started taking it apart. I go, it doesn't matter. You just tell them to take the parts they took apart, throw them in a bucket, and tow that car to the dealer. The dealer will know where all those parts go, and you tell the insurance company the dealer's going to work on your car. Don't let some generic shop work on your car. And she was so grateful, because the place that she worked had that the insurance company has a deal with had already scratched part of her car and had lost some parts just in the day or two that they had it. So she took it to the dealer. Of course, the dealer's got a better incentive to make sure you're happy, because they want you to come back and buy another car. But the dealer also only fixes their cars, their body shop. So they know how many bolts go on certain parts and where certain parts go. Whereas a generic body shop that just works on anything that rolls in, those guys just have to guess how it all goes back together. Unless it's a really common model of car they see a lot of. For the most part, they're just guessing. So you guys should be aware, if you're in the United States and you have full coverage insurance, you dictate to the insurance company where your car goes for work. If you let the insurance company tell you where to go, you're a fool. That's my opinion. You should take control and you tell the insurance company where you're going. The insurance company doesn't make that clear to you. They don't necessarily are fully disclosed. They're not fully disclosing that option is available to you. But when you do it, they won't argue with you. I was in a situation where somebody kind of bumped into me and they dented my bumper, and it was a brand new car. And the insurance company said, well, we need our adjuster to come look at the car. You need to bring it over to us so we can see it. And I said, nope. I said, I have taken the car to the dealer and they have given me a rental. You can your insurance adjuster can go to the dealer anytime they want to. It's always available at the dealer during dealer hours. And the insurance adjuster can go whenever it's convenient for them. Have a nice day. But yeah, that insurance company was going to have me take my car to them, to their location, at their time, at their convenience. I said, no, I'm not doing it. I pay you. You don't pay me. My car's at the dealer. You got your insurance adjuster. You know where the dealer is. You know the hours the dealer is open. I don't care when you go. Go whenever you want. And I think people in the United States should be aware of their rights, as if you have full coverage insurance, that you can do that, and you should. So, so when it comes to the holidays, it can be very stressful when you live in a really crowded place like, here in Arizona, where people are getting out of the snow, getting out of the cold weather, and they're distracted. They'll stop the car because they see a cactus. Oh my God, stop the car, there's a cactus right in the middle of the road. There's cactuses everywhere. Cacti, they're everywhere. So you just got to watch for it. You got to really just protect number one when you're out there on the roads. Rochester, New York 87 says, I just wanted to thank you for recommending $300 data recovery in a past video. I had a customer needed data off a failing hard drive, sent it there for the customer. Absolutely no hassle and great outcome. Yeah, Brian Cometa, who owns $300 data recovery, he's a great guy. He's honest, and most of the data recovery people I talk to, and I've talked to in the past, aren't as forthcoming as Brian was. They'll kind of sound like they're giving you the secrets of the trade, but they're just telling you little morsels, whereas Brian just opened the whole thing up to me. He's like, what do you want to know? I'll tell you whatever you want to know. And that is a rare find. And I don't know how that video got over 100,000 views so quickly. And I've never had a video grow. With the exception of the rocket video, I've never had a video hit 100,000 views that quickly. And the rocket video is not at 100,000, and it may never reach 100,000. But I'm just saying that the rocket video got to like 48,000 within 2 days, 3 days, and the data recovery video I did with Brian had like 100,000 within the first 30 days, which was incredible. I've got videos up for 3 years that don't have 100,000 views. So it was just good for everybody. I enjoyed it, Brian enjoyed it, and you guys enjoyed it. So I didn't make any money from it, apart from whatever pennies the video makes. That's all I get. Brian didn't pay me, didn't ask him to. It was just nice that he opened up his shop and his and was willing to talk about the process in great detail. And I think it's a great value for people, because I think data recovery is one of those services that just really rips people off in general. They charge way too much, and Brian believes that too. So we'll be seeing more Brian in the future. I like working with him. He likes the free advertising, and you guys seem to enjoy the content. So I don't see any downside to it, except that he's not local. I have to get in the car and drive for 6 hours to go talk to Brian. Jim Smith says, Merry Christmas, Carrie. Just finishing a computer build inspired by you. Thanks for your past tutoring. By the way, I've been an auto mechanic for over 45 years. So I love doing mechanical things. That's great, Jim. That's I wish you were local. We could make some videos and you showing how to fix engines. Newt Magne Gersley says, hello, Carrie. I love your build videos and learn a lot from them. Keep up the good work. Merry Christmas and Happy New Year from Norway. Thank you, Newt.
Gary, it's Christmas Day and you're in the kitchen. You must have an understanding wife. My wife is visiting with her mother today. So that's why I have the house to myself and I'm able to do this today. If you have any questions, please participate with the conversation we're having today. It is Christmas Day. We're just hanging out. No agenda, no work. Just saying hello and just chit-chatting. Nothing crazy. Just chilling out. Just relaxing. Ronan Deck says, Merry Christmas from Tasmania. Well, thank you, Ronan. Merry Christmas to you, too. What are your plans for New Year's? Well, I think I'm going to be building that Ryzen computer. Is it going to be maybe December 29th, December 30th? So that'll be pretty close to New Year's. I'll be doing that. Usually hanging out with friends on the big holidays like New Year's, Thanksgiving, things like that. We either friends come over to our place or we go over to theirs. Subaru Mike and I hang out a lot during the holidays. He's probably in real life the best friend I have. He's a really super cool guy. He is exactly the same in person that you see on the videos, except maybe he's a little crazier in person. He tones it down a little on the videos. And he actually helped me get this TV stand put together. I couldn't have done it without him. It was manufactured poorly and the screws weren't lining up because the holes weren't drilled properly. And he came over and figured that out. I was getting really frustrated and he's like, oh yeah, I got a drill bit. We can drill out this and then. He put it together like it was no big deal, and I was struggling and getting frustrated, and he's like, yeah, here you go. He's so naturally mechanically inclined. He just, you know, if things aren't fitting, he knows how to make it fit without destroying it. If I would have done it, I probably would have done it wrong and ruined the whole thing. If you had more leisure time, what would you like to do for fun? I would be gaming. I would be firing up the Xbox and playing Battlefront. Speedy C says, hello, Carrie. Great stream. Keep up the good work. Thank you, Speedy C. Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas to all of you watching right now. Hope you're having a great holiday. Battlefront 2? No, Battlefront. I haven't even played Battlefront. Not Battlefront 2. Carrie, you could do a stream from the Xbox. Probably have to get the Xbox hooked up first. Did you ever build systems with iOmega zip drives? More than I can count. Yeah. Jazz drives, zip drives, 100, zip drive 250s, IDE interface, USB interface, parallel interfaces. Carl Taranella has contributed $5, says Christmas bonus. Well, thank you, Carl. I appreciate your contribution to the channel. I appreciate your support. Tech Helper Guy says, I'm going now. Good night all from the UK. Got to catch an early flight in the morning. Thanks for the great stream. Well, thanks, Tech Helper Guy. Thanks for stopping in, and have a safe flight tomorrow. Bill Leatherland, how was your Christmas, my friend? Have you had a good Christmas? Do I like Ariana Grande? Isn't that something you order at Starbucks? No, I can't say that I like Ariana Grande. I mentioned a song on the last live stream that I can't decide if I like or not, called Delirium Tremendous by Felix Hagen and the Family. You guys need to listen to that and tell me if you like it. Delirium Tremendous. Just go to YouTube and search for Delirium Tremendous. See if that's a song you like. I can't make up my mind if I like it or not. Do you like Eminem? He's all right. The problem is when you have artists, musicians that are from the same place you're from, you're kind of biased, right? So people like Madonna, Bob Seger, Eminem, people from Detroit, all of Motown, The Temptations, Ted Nugent, Kid Rock, I'm going to lean towards liking them just because they're from Michigan. I really only like two Eminem songs. I like Slim Shady, and I like, what's the name of the song? I can't think of the name of the song. Two Trailer Park Girls Go Around the Outside. That was played on MTV over and over and over again. Now MTV won't let me be or let me be me, so let me see. Yeah, those are the only two Eminem songs I like. Kid Rock I can't stand. I honestly do not like Kid Rock. But I'm leaning towards, dropping names that are Detroit or Michigan based. They got him from Jersey. We got Sinatra, Springsteen, and Bon Jovi. And I don't like Sinatra, I don't like Springsteen, and I don't... Bon Jovi's okay. I cannot stand Springsteen. I just can't stand him. Bill says he's had a good Christmas. It's even my birthday tomorrow as well. Wow, that's got to suck for you. You go the whole year without any presents or attention. Special. And then boom, Christmas, you get presents, and birthday, you get presents and attention. Just one after the other. I was kind of fortunate. I'm born in June, so I get, every 6 months, get a little attention. Well, happy birthday, Bill. I hope you have a good birthday. Carrie, the song you were thinking about is Without Me. Yeah, that's it. Thank you. Eminem's Without Me and Slim Shady. Those are the two Eminem songs I like. That's it. So I wouldn't see him in concert just to go listen to two songs. Iron Maiden and Judas Priest. I only know one song by Judas Priest, and that's You Got Another Thing Coming. I don't know anything else they do. And Iron Maiden, I really don't know any of their music at all. Alice Cooper. Alice Cooper lives here in Phoenix, which is pretty cool. And he seems like a really cool guy, but he only sings one song I like, and that's School's Out. And I really liked it when I was in school. I like the words and the rhythm, but I don't really like anything Alice Cooper does. It's not my style. But he seems like a really cool guy. There are other artists that just are magical. They just can't seem to do any wrong. And it's pretty rare for me to find one like that. But Fleetwood Mac, everything they do is fantastic. Duran Duran, Foreigner, Styx. Although Styx lyrics are really, really bad, their music is fantastic. Daniel Santos says, Merry Christmas from Portugal. Keep up the good work. Thank you, Daniel. Oh, Poison by Alice Cooper. Yeah. I did like that song too. I forgot about it. So it's actually about 3 songs, because Alice Cooper also did The Man Behind the Mask for a Friday the 13th movie that was really popular for a real short period of time. But I really can't stand it today when I listen to it. I just changed the channel. but Poison I did like. Roxette had two songs I liked. One was slow. What was it called? Tell It to Your Heart, something. And She's Got the Look. Alan Parsons Project. Yeah, I like Alan Parsons. Saw them in concert. He's really, really good. One of my favorite all-time songs is called Psychobabble. I love the words. But also, of course, Eye in the Sky. I Wouldn't Want to Be Like You was another good song. There's a lot of great songs from Alan Parsons. I got to meet him. It was really cool to shake his hand. Chester Draw says, Merry Christmas and Happy New Year from Australia. Thank you, Chester. Merry Christmas to you down under. What's the one performance car you could drive today that would fulfill that need for a long time? I guess a Tesla P100, P90. I think I'd be pretty happy in that. Something tells me he's not a Metallica guy. I hate Metallica. As cool as James Hetfield may seem, I cannot get past Lars. I cannot get past his capitalist attitude that they make music for money, and any fans that would download or share their music should go to jail. Any artist who wants to punish fans of their art over money is not an artist to me. They're just a corporation. Metallica is not a band, in my opinion. Metallica is a corporation. I have no interest in corporate produced music. Bill Leatherland says he was born at 2 a.m. on the 26th of December. Wow. Wow, you could have been one of Santa's elves. That's crazy. Did you do the math to figure out when you were conceived? Did you go back and go, okay, December, and then ask your parents, did you realize when you were doing this back in March, would it have been March? April? You were doing this back in April? That you would be giving birth to a child right in the middle of, right on Christmas? Did you guys think about that? Did you have that conversation? No, you're British. They don't talk about stuff like that, right? Where does Sun carry contributions to the show? You can go to, if you want to donate and contribute, you can go to tech-vets.com. And in the upper right corner, you will see a donate button, and you can use that at any time and put the notes in and what it's for. You're supporting Tech Vets, or you're supporting the YouTube channel, so I know where the money should go. GL Thunder says, I'm eating my Christmas dinner and watching your stream, Carrie. That's great. I hope to be eating my Christmas dinner soon. I think I'll have tacos. That sounds like a good traditional Christmas dinner in Phoenix. Carrie, do you enjoy classical music while fixing computers? No, usually classical music's a little too mellow. When I'm fixing computers, I need energy. I need more EDM or 80s, something more upbeat. I would say that I was really into classical music for quite a while in my 30s. And I still enjoy it, but I just don't find the time to listen to it anymore. But at the time, Eric Kunzel was in charge of the Boston Pops, and it was just, I never got enough of that. Frankie wants to know what my opinion is about Apple slowing down older devices. Apple isn't slowing down older devices. Apple is putting software fixes in that deal with the additional burden that their devices have to deal with on modern software. and the fact that the batteries in them can't be changed and aren't as, the batteries are fading out. So they're trying to give you the longest battery life possible. And to do that, they're reducing the performance. I wouldn't say it's slowing it down. I guess it's just a matter of how you look at it. They're trying to give you the best experience possible, which they are defining as long life. Other people are saying they'd rather have speed, and Apple should leave that up to the user to decide. Apple should not, but that's not the nature. When you buy Apple, you're agreeing to let Apple make decisions for you. That's what being an Apple customer is all about, is saying, I don't trust myself to make these decisions. I need somebody else to make them for me, and that's what Apple does for you, and they charge a lot of money to do it. So for anybody to complain about it is, you should have never bought an Apple, because that's what you agreed to when you bought it. So it goes right along with the territory. It's not surprising. Apple does this in every aspect. Apple controls every aspect of your Apple experience. They permit or do not permit what you can or cannot run on your Apple device. You don't have the freedom of the Windows world has, which is also why you don't have the viruses and the problems, but you also don't have a lot of competition for software or hardware. So everything costs more money, but then it generally just works. You don't have the frustration. So they limit your freedoms in exchange for safety. That doesn't fly in my world. I would rather take responsibility and accountability for my own actions and give me the freedom to make the choices I want to make. I don't want a company or another entity making my choices for me. But that's just me. Tina McLaughlin's leaving the stream. Right, Tina, thanks for joining us today. Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. Bill says, you look like you used to be into rock and roll, so I imagine you do the Chuck Berry duck walk whilst repairing computers. Well, Chuck Berry's before my time. When you think of me fixing computers, you got to think more Duran Duran, Cyndi Lauper, Foreigner, AC/DC, In Excess. I'm all over In Excess. Oh yeah. Like, to me, the penultimate rock idol is Michael Hutchence. This is a man who had the looks, he had the confidence, he had the swagger, he had the lyrical poetry. He was a true artist. Gabriel's saying goodbye. Goodbye, Gabriel. Merry Christmas. Happy New Year. Journey's good. Journey's a little slow for me. They have a couple of rock and roll songs, but a lot of the slow songs, like REO Speedwagon, I like them, but not when I'm building a computer. But yeah, I like Send Her My Love is a great song by Journey, or Any Way You Want It. Journey's got a couple of rockers, but the ones where Steve Perry's sitting at a piano playing, a little too slow for me. New Order, Blue Monday, and Bizarre Love Triangle. Yeah, great songs. And Depeche Mode. Have you heard of the band Take That from the UK? You know, a lot of Americans don't realize how big Take That was. I mean, they're second only to the Beatles as far as a boy band goes, and how many years, how many decades they've been around. And most Americans are like, what's a Take That? But they had a song. I never really cared for any of the Take That music until a couple of years ago. We have a song that is musically and brilliantly written called Shine. What an amazing, inspiring, well-written, catchy song. Def Leppard, yeah, I've always liked Def Leppard. Brandon45 says, I got a new PC for Christmas and I'm putting it together. It is fun. Well, that's great, Brandon. I'm jealous. Do you like Deep Purple? Deep Purple, again, was before my time. Smoke on the Water was the only thing I think I know from Deep Purple. So one song isn't enough to get me interested. You've seen it on Back to the Future, surely. I'm only 54. Yeah, he's talking about the Chuck Berry duck thing. Yeah, I know what you're talking about. That's how you look. I have no problem being compared to Michael J. Fox. I've always wanted to be like him. I like Michael J. Fox. I've always, back on Family Ties, Alex Keaton, one of my favorite characters. He's still a really cool guy today, in real life. Love me some Jethro Tull. Jethro Tull sings 2 songs that I like, just 2. Bungle in the Jungle and Locomotive Breath. And they're really good, but again, not enough to call myself a Jethro Tull fan. Have you ever dealt with point-of-sale systems? Oh, of course. In my line of work, of course, lots of point-of-sale systems. Linkin Park, Slayer, Dio, not a fan of any of them, no, never. It's just too heavy, it's too much. Linkin Park are very talented guys. It's interesting how they combine so many different music styles, which is interesting, but it just doesn't. Sometimes you hear music and it just sounds like they're hitting the guitar as hard as they can hit it. They're not really making anything but noise. Linkin Park really sounds like music, but it's just a little too heavy for me. I think one of my favorite bands right now, over the last couple, I only recently learned of them, and they've been around a long time, is Muse. I like the attitude. I like the lyrics. I like the rebellious, don't be a sheep, fight back, and they're consistent in their lyrics. Song after song after song tends to be about, trying to think of the word, not rioting, but standing up for yourself and fighting for what's right, even if it's against the government or the police. Or what's wrong is wrong and what's right is right. It doesn't matter where it's coming from. It's wrong or it's right. And stand up for what's right. And I love the message. And I also love the music. Carrie, what do you like to hear in a song? It's funny, but I have found when songs have, I don't know what it's called, but the Beatles used to do it a lot. They go, ooh, they'd shake their heads, ooh. It wasn't a word. It's just a noise they're making with their mouth. When songs do that, I don't know what it is, but I just find, I generally like almost any song. Gwen Stefani has a song called Hella Good. And in it she goes, I love that. That's my favorite part of the song. There's a song from Dead-Eye Dick called New Age Girl. And in the song, they do this weird effect where they go, "Rah." I love that. So songs that have these weird vocalizations I'm drawn to. I don't know why, but I have noticed it. Hootie and the Blowfish. Never a fan. What was his name? Darius something. Never really a fan of Hootie or his Blowfish. Brandon45. I hope you're doing well, man. I love your videos, man. Well, thanks, man. Merry Christmas, man. Happy New Year, man. Doesn't Michael J. Fox have MS like me? No, Bill. Michael J. Fox has Parkinson's disease. Like Muhammad Ali. Darius Rucker. Yes, that was his name, Darius Rucker. Sorry, we're switching back and forth topics. You got to keep up. Are you a millionaire, Carrie? I am a millionaire. I am rich with friends. I am rich with life, and I am rich with experience. Money, not so much. Money, I would probably qualify as being near poverty. But I'm happy, and I get to do what I want, how I want, and when I want. And that's more important to me. Money, I can always make more money. I don't care about money. I really don't care. I care about time. And I can't make any more time. And I would rather spend less time working and more time living. I'd rather live a short, happy life than a long, miserable one. I'd rather add more life to my years than more years to my life. All that hippie nonsense, I'm all for that. Howard Jones, things can only get better. Yeah, I like Howard Jones. He's good. When you have good health, then you are rich. Yeah, well, it's good. Not just when people think of health, a lot of times they think of, things like cancer, but, mental health. You can be, all your organs can be operating fine, but up in here, you can be sick, and you don't even realize it. You can be depressed and miserable and unhappy. And so you got to be healthy all through. And money, just, you can't buy that. Bee Gees, not a fan of the Bee Gees. Merry Christmas, Brandon. Rusty says, I'm surprised Carrie doesn't like And Justice for All by Metallica because it's about injustice and the government and all that. Well, just because a song is about injustice doesn't automatically mean I'm going to like it. The lyrics and the music have to go together. And that's hypocritical for Metallica to sing about it because they're the biggest injustice of them all. To sit there and jail and punish your fans because they want to listen to your music and share it with their friends is insanity. 9 Inch Nails, Rage Against the Machine. There's a lot of bands that have lyrics like that, but just musically, I don't like them. Muse is a great combination from my taste of really well thought out lyrics and really catchy riffs. Incase had this talent where they could just do any song and make it catchy. I don't know how you do that. I don't know how. It's like making a viral video. How do you make a video go viral? How do you make a song be catchy? Obviously, an artist believes every song they do on an album, they believe in that 100%, that that's going to be a hit, I imagine. And then they release an album and it comes and goes. Michael Hutchence did a solo album. Most people never heard it. And he was really sad about it. Michael Hutchence is the lead singer from Incase, or he was. And Duran Duran broke up temporarily and created Power Station. 2 guys went off and created Power Station, and 2 guys went off and created Arcadia. And, Arcadia had Election Day, and Power Station had Some Like It Hot, and another one I'm not thinking of right now. And then I guess Power Station at some point sued Robert Palmer for claiming he stole their sound. And then Robert Palmer said, that's my sound I gave to you guys when I was in your band Power Station. It's funny. I'll tell you what I don't like, and I'm hearing it a lot. I don't like lazy writing. Lazy songwriting is where you fill in the space in the song by repeating the same word until you meet the end of that particular beat or that rhythm. And the first time I really acknowledged it or recognized it was in Tao Cruz a few years ago, had a song called Dynamite. And he did this repetition of the last word of whatever sentence he was singing to fill in the space. And it was something like, I got all my favorite brands. I hate that. That to me is like, couldn't you sit down when you were writing the lyrics and fill that in with some other words? I don't care if it's a couple of words, like Foreigner would sing, I'm hot-blooded. That's fine. But when it's one word repeated constantly over and over to fill a gap, it just turns me off. I feel like somebody just phoned it in. There's a hit song I cannot stand called Gucci Gang, and it's just the same word over and over and over and over, and it's just like listening to a jackhammer. I don't like it. That's just my interpretation. How this song became popular is beyond my comprehension. I like songs that would be nice to listen to even when there is no lyric. And I like lyrics that are nice to read even if there's no music. So it's pretty difficult to find those two things matched up. For me, I'm very finicky about my music. Like I said, there's a song called Delirium Tremendous by a group called Felix Hagen and the Family. If you go to YouTube and you look up Delirium Tremendous, tell me if you like that song. I can't make up my mind. I just can't decide if I like it or not. The last song that I really love, that I turn up the radio every time I hear it, that is lyrically and musically just spot on, is High by Sir Sly. I cannot get enough of that song. I love that song. I love the lyrics. I love the music. I love the rhythm. I like the message. I just can't get enough of it. And it's been out over a year now, and I still, gosh, it's got to be close to 2 years. It never gets old with me. I can crank it up every time. Love that song. And Portugal the Man, Feel It Still, great lyrically and musically, just really well put together. Another song, I just cannot get sick of that song. GT Thunder says, I'm off to bed. Will continue to watch on my PlayStation until I go to sleep. Well, good night, Thunder. Merry Christmas. Do you believe in aliens? I don't think it matters if I believe in aliens. It won't change whether or not they exist. I don't get to choose the reality. Although in a universe that has no end, there's got to be some other form of life. There's got to be bacteria, plants, some form of evolution of fish or creature. Maybe not intelligence, and maybe on a different scale, might be microscopic, or we might be microscopic I don't know, but there's got to be something else out there alive. Whether or not it's intelligent, I don't know. But I'm sure there's lots of life in the universe. Lots of it. Particularly in bacterial form or in plant form. Do you like instrumentals, or does it need vocals? Some instrumentals. Axel F by Harold Faltermeyer was a great instrumental. Classical Gas is a great instrumental. Fire on High by the Electric Light Orchestra is a great instrumental. Sirius by Alan Parsons Project is a great instrumental. Foreplay by Boston is a very unusual but catchy instrumental once you find the rhythm in it. So no, it doesn't have to have lyrics. Diluted Reality 89 says, gotta go, Carrie. Good night and Merry Christmas to you all. Well, thanks for joining us today, and Merry Christmas to you too. I guess now we're all talking about our disabilities in the chat room. Between MS, cerebral palsy, and Parkinson's, that's the latest conversation happening. Who's got it worse? It's a strange competition you guys are having. Miami Vice theme by Jan Hammer? No, I never liked Jan Hammer or Hans Zimmer. I never care for those. I mean, the little Terminator, you know, the drum, that's about, I don't know that that's real musical talent, but not to say that Hans Zimmer doesn't have musical talent, but there wasn't a whole lot to the Terminator song there that, you know, is catchy. Not much to it, though. Are you still doing the live 24/7 streams on Twitch? Not right now. I can't do both at the same time. And I had a big problem with my internet connection that prevented me from doing any streaming or any uploading at all. And now I'm not confident that that problem's been fixed. So I will tread lightly back into Twitch when the time is right. Do you play an instrument? No, I don't play any instruments. I'm the kind of person, I think I would make a good music producer, but I wouldn't be... I always thought that if we never left Michigan, if we stayed in Detroit and I hung out with a different group of friends back then, I probably seriously would have been heavy into drugs and rock and roll. I'm sure I would have been in a band. I'd probably have 3 different baby mamas. I would have had a completely different life. Computers were not a part of my life in Detroit, ever. So it's interesting to wonder what life would have been like if my parents hadn't divorced and moved across the country. So I don't know, but I honestly think I would have been in a rock band and life would be very different. And whether or not I would have been successful or a loser, I don't know. No idea. But I would have been Carrie with a mullet and a Gibson guitar. I would have been playing guitar. I might have had the mullet, maybe. Do you listen to jazz? I don't really care for jazz. It's okay. I like smooth jazz when I'm in the right mood to listen to relaxing jazz with a good beat, nice rhythm to it. Because a lot of jazz, there's a lot of jazz that's just kind of made up on the spot. It doesn't really do it for me. Bob Marley. You know, I never cared for Bob Marley until I was in the Caribbean. And there's something about being in the Caribbean, walking on the beach, and hearing that Bob Marley music playing, any reggae, just feels right. It's kind of like wearing a Hawaiian shirt in Hawaii versus wearing a Hawaiian shirt anywhere else. Like, you will stand out and be stared at like, what's wrong with that guy? Why is he wearing such a loud, bright, colorful, noisy shirt? But in Hawaii, you fit right in and it just feels right. So place and time. What is your favorite TV series? Right now, my favorite TV series would be Rick and Morty, followed by Peaky Blinders. I like Family Guy. I like, well, there's a lot of TV series that just aren't on anymore, but I understand there's going to be a Miranda on tomorrow, which I'm looking forward to. I used to really like Doctor Who, but it's gotten so stupid I can't watch it anymore. It's just so stupid. I really like The Orville. I think The Orville has become a really, really good show. I'm trying to think what else. Tom Hardy did a mini-series called Taboo. That was pretty good. It wasn't one of my favorites, but it was good. When they come out with season 2, I'll watch it. Not into Stranger Things or Breaking Bad or The Wire. I'm not into any of that. I like Robot Chicken. If that's on, I'll watch Robot Chicken. Does that count? I used to watch Knight Rider, but I never watched Airwolf or MacGyver. Was never into that. Never watched Miami Vice. Never was into that. I don't like The Walking Dead. I do like The Big Bang Theory and Silicon Valley. Those are 2 great shows. Rector Christian says, I'm watching Peaky Blinders. I'm at episode 3 and just saw the whole Jamestown. The end was really great. I'm still watching Jamestown. I'm liking it. I've only seen, I think, the first 3 episodes of Jamestown, so no spoilers. Quantum Leap, no, I don't. Quantum Leap and shows like Farscape or Stargate, they're just too fake for me. I need more realism. Like Battlestar Galactica, the remake that Ronald Moore did, really, really well done. And then the spin-off called Caprica, fantastic. So sorry that ended. It was so good. Carrie, did you gain some weight? And I've actually lost a little bit, but not much. Losing weight is much more difficult now than it used to be. Something about my body has changed because I'm doing the same things I've always done to lose weight, and it's not happening as quickly as it used to. So I guess I just have to be patient. Do you like the UFC or WWE? No, I just don't like violence. I don't like boxing. I don't like people hitting each other. I mean, that's real stuff. There's got to be something more productive we can do with our time than beat each other up for money. Does not appeal to me. Never has. If you like Robot Chicken and Rick and Morty, you would like Mr. Pickles. I've never heard of Mr. Pickles. I'll have to check that out. Bill says he's got to take off. Nice to chat. Well, thanks for stopping in, Bill. I'm glad you could stop in and we could chat a little bit. I hope you have a great rest of the day. Happy birthday. And I'll talk to you soon. Take care, buddy. John Hayes says, hi, Carrie. Wishing you and your family a very Merry Christmas. Hope your dad is coming on well. From John in Warrington, England. We just watched Trolleyed last night, the Christmas special. And it's Valco, which is supposed to be in Warrington. That's cool. What car would you love to own? I think I'd love to own a Tesla. Any favorite Netflix original series? Black Mirror. Although Netflix bought it, I think, from ITV or Sky One, one of the British. But yeah, Black Mirror. Love Black Mirror. Black Mirror is kind of like the original Twilight Zones, where each episode has a different set of actors. It's a standalone story. One thing they all have in common is it's about technology that's designed to help us that ends up hurting us or making our lives worse. And it's not technology we have yet, but it's technology that is conceivably in the near future. Like you could understand, yeah, that's possible. I could see that happening. Like in the near, very near future, and how the intentions of the creator have backfired in a way you didn't expect. And every episode is a standalone, so you don't have to watch in any season or any episode order. You can pick any episode. It's all different actors, all different stories, just like the original Twilight Zones, and with endings where you go, oh, you know, that's the end of every episode. You just go, what? I like that. Kind of upsets me. I watch the end, I get really upset, then I watch the next one. It's never a feel-good ending. It's a really, messes with your head. You like South Park or Family Guy? I like them both, yeah. The more offensive something is, the more I like it. I just got caught up on a British show called Plebs, which is about these British folks living in like 26 BC in Rome. It's dirty. It's hilarious. I love it. There's a little slave named Grumio. He's more like a pet. I love the character. This guy Ryan Sampson plays him. And this other actor, Joel Grey, he's always got a smile on his face. He was on Trolleyed for one season. I like Joel Grey. There's just something about the guy that I just like. So it's got a great cast. And unfortunately, the series are only 6 episodes long. So in 3 seasons, they've only done 18 episodes. But it's a great, funny show. I really like it a lot. Have you seen Shameless? Yeah, I don't care for it. IT Crowd? Yeah, of course I've seen every episode and every special of IT Crowd. That was a great show. Did I watch Faulty Towers? Yeah, I never was a fan of Faulty Towers. I always liked Monty Python, but Faulty Towers was just okay. I didn't not like it, but I didn't go out of my way to see it. Benny Hill, I loved Benny Hill. That was funny stuff. The miniseries V was on television. I remember that. I really liked it back then. It's hard to watch now, but back then it was really cool. Have I seen *Halt and Catch Fire*? Yes, I don't like it. I don't like Mr. Robot. I don't like *Halt and Catch Fire*. To me, *Halt and Catch Fire* is the girl with the dragon tattoo. I liked the girl with the dragon tattoo, especially the Swedish make of the 3 books that Stieg Larsson wrote. And most Americans don't even know anything about it. They know about the movie Daniel Craig did, but the movie wasn't as good as what the Swedes did on TV with their specials. So if you get a chance to watch The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, the original Swedish trilogy television series, miniseries, whatever subtitles you need, get them. It's a great series. Antonia Tavera says, Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas, Antonio. So I'm just looking off to the side here, just watching the chat, looking for any questions anybody's got. It's quiet in there right now, so it's a good time to bring up any question if you've got one. Ted Barr says, Merry Christmas from Gresham, Oregon. We have a white Christmas. Some of these questions you guys are asking are automatically answered. All you got to do is look at my channel. You'll know if I like Linux or Intel or AMD if you just watch my videos. It's very clear. Whether or not I have a NAS, my thoughts on all of that has been discussed ad nauseum on my channel, time and time and time again. So I'm guessing those questions are from new viewers. You have a lot of catching up. There's a lot of videos that address a lot of the things you're talking about that apparently you haven't seen yet. Remember, it's not really about what I like. It's about what my customer wants. And that's ultimately what decides what gets built. Any thoughts about uploading your live stream as podcasts? No, I mean, you can use an MP3. There are websites that will convert YouTube videos into MP3s. I don't need to do that. And then I have to go through the expense of hosting it, plus a website to organize it. And it's just a lot of administrative work that keeps me away from doing real work. Yeah, I wish that YouTube would allow me to play music. I would love to just do like a DJ set. But unfortunately, while it would be possible for me to do that, it would reduce the selections of songs I could play to songs that permit YouTube usage without monetization, or that they monetize, the song creators monetize. So I wouldn't get to play everything I want to play, but that would be fun to be able to do it. Are there any newer games you want to play like Battlefront? Yeah, I'd like to play Overwatch and see what all the hype is about, but I just don't have time. Elvis Frazier says, Merry Christmas from Missouri. Well, Merry Christmas, Elvis. Liam Sims says, I'm working on a build video inspired by Carrie Holzman ×3. Hey, share the video with me. Send us a link in the Facebook fan page. With your permission, I can share it here on my channel, and hopefully you'll get some subscribers from it. And, I don't mind if you don't. Oliver Murray, Merry Christmas from Ireland. Thank you, Oliver. Merry Christmas to you. And Joseph C. is Merry Christmas from UK. Thank you, Joseph. Carrie, when you move back to Michigan, do you know what you will do for work back there? Well, ideally, I would do YouTube full-time and set up a studio in the basement. Homes in Arizona don't have basements, but in Michigan, almost every home has a basement. And the basement would be a perfect studio for me, where I could set things up. It doesn't, I don't have to do room sharing like I'm doing right now. And it's nice and cool in a basement. And then of course I would do PC repair work locally to wherever I could get work for content for the channel, if nothing else. So it'd basically be the same thing. I can do this job anywhere in the world if I have internet access. So nothing really holds me back from living anywhere I want to live, other than the expense of the move. When are you moving to Michigan? I don't know. It's going to be very expensive for me to move to Michigan, so it's going to be a while. I'd move back there in a heartbeat if I had the money. In fact, I found a perfect house. There's a house for sale. It's a log cabin built in 2003. It's on 10 acres of land. The idea, because I live in a very crowded, very, very crowded place. And the idea of not having any neighbors for 10 acres is like a dream come true. And being in the woods, when my backyard is nothing but a forest, one of these days. Yeah, the perfect house for me would be a well-built log cabin with a loft, a couple of bedrooms, a well, a river nearby or a lake. No neighbors for as long as possible, a distance, because neighbors here, my neighbor is probably 30, 40 feet away on every side of me. It's claustrophobic. So to be out and back to nature, I think would be very good for me. It would be healthier. I'd probably live longer. It would be healthier for me physically because the air is cleaner and healthier, and there's less stress. You're dealing more with problems regarding nature instead of man-made problems. If you got a deer or a bear or a possum or a raccoon getting into your garbage cans or whatever, that's a real life problem. Those are the kind of problems I want to have, not people doing donuts in the street, kicking up rocks in my house and stuff. So I do think it'd be healthier physically and mentally to be where I want to be. You should move to Texas. No, I don't like Texas. I don't like the attitude of Texans in general. I'm definitely not a Texas kind of person. Not a whole lot of green in Texas either. It's got its places, but Texas is a big place. You know, Houston is very different from Amarillo or Dallas or, you know, you might as well be 3 different states. It's so big. And there's a lot of Texas pride that I don't understand. I've never seen a state where everybody was so proud to be from that state. It's strange. I don't understand it. And I think it's sad that that's something to boast about. Yeah, I don't understand Texas pride. You should have pride in yourself, not in your sports team, not in the state you're from. And Texas is unique that way. Nobody has signs of Oklahoma saying, I'm from Oklahoma. Well, I'm sure somebody does, but it's not this strange phenomenon that you see in Texas. So I don't get that attitude, so I wouldn't fit in. I would feel very much like I don't belong there. The negative thing about rural areas is the internet isn't very good. It's not really true anymore. Where the internet wasn't available before is available now. You'd be surprised. No, I definitely would not fit in Texas. Have you ever been to the UK, Carrie? No, I have never been to the UK. I would love to go. It's on my bucket list. My next trip right now is going back to Michigan. That'll be back, I'll be doing that in May, be going back to Michigan. I'm really looking forward to this trip. I need it badly. Have you ever been to Syracuse? I've been to New York. I'm not quite sure where I was in upstate, but I was very young. In 2003, I was in New York City. It's definitely a nice place to visit. I wouldn't want to live there. When somebody says they're claustrophobic, and you go, have you ever been to New York? You just named one of the most, well, New York City. When I think of New York, like most people, I think of Manhattan or Bronx or, Harlem. It's too crowded. It's just too many people, and I can deal with it for a few days and I can enjoy it. But there's no way in the world I could ever live there. I need open spaces with big green trees and rivers. That's what I need. I need nature. Not desert nature. And not flat plain, Montana nature. And not raining all the time, Oregon or Washington nature. And not cold all the time, North Dakota, Minnesota. There's got to be something that's more of a balance. And to me, that's Michigan. But you have to understand, I was born and raised in Detroit. So my barometer is that's what normal is, and everything gets compared to that. So why not just go there? Try Australia. I don't know. I think the bugs in Australia might eat me. I do understand a lot of Americans are moving to New Zealand, and New Zealand has really opened their doors to Americans that want to move down there. But that's a long way to go, and if you don't like it, you might be stuck there for right a long time. So, Carrie, you're thinking about New York City. Upstate New York is much different. No, I know upstate New York is different. I'm saying I was in New York City in 2003, and prior to that I was in upstate, but I don't know where I was, and it was very pretty. But that whole New York, New Jersey, that whole area isn't really it's not my thing. There's a certain culture of people, a certain culture of the people that makes me feel like an outsider. I don't feel like I belong. I think that's a big thing about where I want to go, is where I feel like I fit in. Buffalo, New York is a little too cold. I might as well be in Canada if I'm going to be in Buffalo. Lou Gramm, the lead singer of Foreigner, was from Rochester. Just a little strange trivia off the top of my head. Buffalo has that awful lake effect snow. I got news for you. There's a lot of lake effect snow in the Great Lakes state of Michigan, not surprisingly. Especially the further north you go. You get up around Traverse City. You pull up Traverse City News right now and Google it. You'll see the weather forecast talks about lake effect snow. Again, it's not, the cold weather doesn't bother me. I like a balance though. I want to see seasons. I want a summer, I want a winter, I want snow, I want rain, but I don't want a lot of any of it. So in Oregon and Washington, you get a lot of rain. In Minnesota, North Dakota, you get a lot of snow. Buffalo, the further north you are, you get a lot of snow. Arizona, Nevada, Texas, California, you just sort of have this one temperature. It's just hot. And then it's crowded. And it's expensive. And Nevada is windy. Arizona has no wind at all. It's like being in an oven. Nevada's all windy. It's like being with a hairdryer. California is nice, but it's overcrowded. It's expensive. Everything's far away. It's a big, big state. Lots of taxes. Lots of non-English speakers. You can't communicate. You can go into cities, entire blocks of cities where signs are in Korean. It's like you're in Korea. It's the weirdest. It feels like you're not in the United States anymore. And it's not meant as a racist thing. It's just an observation that I don't fit in here. I don't know. Is that a bakery? Is that I don't know what that's. I can't read that sign. It's not in English. And it's just one after the other, boom, boom, boom. And I feel like, okay, it's a nice place to visit, but this isn't my culture. So I want to be where people like me are. I think it's just natural for human beings to want to gather around others like them. And that's my attraction to Michigan, Chicago, that whole sort of, it's not really Midwest, it's considered East. I've never been to New England, so I don't know how people from New Hampshire or Maine or Vermont, I don't know how they behave, what their culture is like. When you're in Tennessee or Kentucky, you have a lot of this southern stuff that it's charming, but it's just not me. The great places to visit, Alabama, Georgia, South Carolina, North Carolina, they're nice places to visit. They're nice people, but they don't talk like I do. They don't eat like I do. They're not like me, and I don't fit in there. It's the only way I can describe it. So again, nice places to visit, but where I want to live is where I feel comfortable, where I feel like I belong. And it's definitely not Phoenix. What is your favorite Christmas song? Wonderful Christmas Time by Paul McCartney. Is there anywhere in Canada you would like to visit? Yes, I would like to visit anywhere in Canada. I've been to Canada numerous times. I've been to Toronto, Ontario. My brother likes to vacation in Nanaimo Island in Victoria. I've never been there. He just rants and raves about how wonderful it is, and I need to go sometime, but we haven't been able to put that together. Do you like Lynyrd Skynyrd? Yeah, they're pretty good, Lynyrd Skynyrd. What's your name, little Jimmy? What's your name? What you doing, boy? Is it dinner time yet? Not yet. You're a little early. Your clock's a little off there, buddy. Where is Lyle? Lyle's with his mother visiting his grandma on Christmas. And Jimmy's staying here with me because Jimmy's a daddy's boy, aren't you? Yeah, you are. Is Chicago considered the most dangerous city in the United States? No, Washington, D.C. is the most dangerous in the United States. I think Jimmy's draining a lake over there. Don't let me stop you. How is DC dangerous? Well, you have Google. Look up the most murderous place in the United States. Where do the most murders happen? Just Google that. Let me know what you come up with. Have you ever met any famous people? I've met a lot of famous people. I've met Penn and Teller, Rick Springfield, John Pinette before he died. I've met Adam Ferrara. I've met Alan Parsons. I've met Michael Knight, the Christopher Knight. I met Christopher Knight at the Consumer Electronics Show. He played Bobby Brady. Was it Bobby? No, not Bobby. The middle kid. Who was the middle kid? It was Greg and Bobby, and the one I can't think of is the one I met. I only met him briefly. He was a nice guy. I've met more celebrities than I meet him a lot of. Remember, I did a radio show, a nationwide radio show. I've gotten to interview Thomas Dolby and Jim Brickman. I got to interview these. They're just people, just like you, and there's nothing, it's not a big deal. They're just normal people that. Peter Brady, yes, thank you. Peter was played by Christopher Knight, and I met him. What I don't like is if I meet somebody famous who thinks they're someone special. I have no interest in that. No matter how much they would like for you to believe they're special, they're not. They're lucky and they're talented, and those two things happen to come together at the same time. You need to be talented, but then you also have to be at the right place at the right time. So anybody who thinks that they're successful purely on their own is a big liar, or they're in some form of denial. The stars have to align, that you have to have the talent, but you also have to have the opportunity. And obviously you have to have the talent first. And then when the opportunity strikes and you're ready for it, then you will succeed. And for some of us, there's a lot of talented folks out there who deserve to be famous who aren't. I've met a number of people in my life. You look at him and you go, that guy should be a movie star. And he's not. Just in a whole nother career. You wonder, what would Brad Pitt be doing if he wasn't an actor? What would his job be? What if he was your coworker? Would you think anything of him special? Any other coworker? Probably not. So they're just people. It's nice. Like talking to Thomas Dolby was a lot of fun. I really, really enjoyed it. I talked to Ed Begley Jr. He's a really super nice guy. People that are humble and people that are nice, whether or not you're famous, it just means you might get more viewers or more listeners if you're interviewing them, because of people know who they are. People will be interested. But there's plenty of people who aren't famous who very well deserve to be. And, they just didn't get the opportunity and maybe never will. I've met some people who thought they were famous and were real jerks. But You know, there's all kinds of people in this world. Well, looks like everything's slowing down. Might be time to start wrapping things up. It's about 4:30 here in Phoenix right now, and just wanted to come in and say hello to everybody and say Merry Christmas. Hope you all have a great New Year and just hanging out. What's on the menu? I think maybe I'll make tacos or maybe I'll make pasta. I don't know yet. Not real hungry yet. What's your favorite cartoon from the 80s? Probably Tiny Toons. What do you think about CCleaner taking down the portable version? Portable version's there. I don't know what you're talking about. So there's this segment of the internet that has, they're like sheep. Every time CCleaner comes out with a new version, almost every time, the portable version is postponed by, I don't know why, but by about a week. So people see the new version and think, oh, there's no portable version. They took it down. No, you're too impatient. The portable version's there. Go look, it's there. You looked too early, and then you made an assumption, or you heard it from somebody else who made an assumption that they took it down. There's been no official word from CCleaner that they took portable version down. So you guys are just making stuff up, and then you're getting upset about it, and then you're asking me my opinion on this imaginary thing you've just created with a group of other people that you all agree with that isn't reality. So I think you guys need to think on your own. Stop jumping into forum groups of people coming up with conclusions based on their imagination. It's frustrating to me because the same keyboard and the same mouse, you could actually get real information. Yeah, it's on the builds page. You go to the CCleaner website and go to the builds page, and it's where it's always been. It's no different than it's ever been before. And it's been delayed before. I guess Avast bought Piriform, who makes CCleaner, and then people came to this conclusion that I knew Avast would have done this. No, nothing's different. It's all the same. Why do people insist on stirring a pot that doesn't need to be stirred? It just doesn't make sense to me. It was not there yesterday. Yes, it was there yesterday. In fact, it was there several days ago. They didn't put it up and take it back down again. You didn't see it. You not seeing it doesn't mean it wasn't there. If you put on, in Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, they have these glasses that say, don't panic. With the idea being that if something scary is going to be affecting you, the glasses go black so you can't see it, and therefore you won't panic. You won't be afraid of what you can't see. But it doesn't mean the danger isn't there. It just means you can't see it. Because your website loaded from a previous cache doesn't mean you were seeing the actual website that day. You may have loaded the website, your computer browser may have loaded a cache of the website because it was faster. And you didn't refresh the page to ensure that you were getting the latest information off the page, and therefore you didn't see the portable build yesterday. But it was there yesterday, and it was there the day before yesterday, and it was there the day before that. It was delayed. It didn't come out the same day as the new build. It came out about a week later, but that's normal. That's not the first time that's happened. It's very frustrating sometimes to explain people's impressions of reality and the weird conclusions they come to as fact when they don't consider that why their experience isn't matching up with reality. And I find that the people that are more comfortable with computers tend to blame the computer when something goes wrong, when it's them, they're doing the wrong thing. And the people who are not comfortable with computers, when they have a problem, they think it's something they did. And in most cases, in my experience, they didn't do anything wrong. It's the computer that screwed up. You need to, if you're really confident about computers, the best advice I can give you is to lose some of your confidence. Start assuming when things aren't there, if you're not getting the thing you're expecting, start questioning what you're doing differently. If you go looking on the internet for other people that are also experiencing what you're experiencing, then you're going to find exactly what you're looking for. It's sort of like if you think vaccinations cause illness in children and you Google that, you will find information to back up your beliefs. But at the same time, if you Google that vaccinations do not cause these problems, you will find information to back up those beliefs. So if you want to be negative and think negatively and you want somebody else to confirm your negativity, then go looking for that. But if you want to bring that in here and tell me it's reality, I'm just not going to stand for it. Sorry, guys. That doesn't fly with me. Carrie, do you have room on your property to build a small studio for live streams and videos? No. Phoenix is very crowded. There's not space. And you would have to air condition that space. And you would have to burglar alarm that space. You would have to secure it, and you would have to run plumbing to it and electricity. It would be very, very expensive. Carrie, have you ever rode a motorcycle? Yeah, I've ridden a motorcycle. Just kind of scrolling through some of the chat history here, trying to catch up. Yeah, sometimes what bothers me, is when people make false statements and then you correct them and then they say you're being rude for correcting them. When they're planting seeds of doubt and spreading false information, it's not asking a question. Asking a question would be, where can I find this? But to make a statement that it doesn't exist and how do I feel about its non-existence when it does exist is really offensive. And you're doing it in a public forum where somebody may then carry what you just said on to the next person. And it makes my job very, very difficult to undo the damage you're doing. And I can't stop everybody from doing it, but wow, it is just something I need to work on with regards to how I handle it, because there's so much of false information and people are just so freewheeling with their opinions based solely on their imagination and no factual information. It goes against everything I stand for. I'm all about scientific fact and evidence and being able to prove something and being able to demonstrate it. And so when somebody comes in with just some bold statement that comes from questionable sources, and they make a public statement about it that's completely false and inaccurate, it gets me really upset. If they'd have just asked rather than assumed, then I would have had no problem. Yeah, we got the battery warning, so I think that's going to about wrap it up. And I do appreciate everybody coming in and checking out the chat today. I hope everybody's had a good Christmas. I hope you'll have a good Boxing Day tomorrow. And I think I'll go ahead and wrap it up since everything kind of slowed down in the chat anyway. So thanks, you guys. Hope everybody has a rest of a good evening. I hope you got everything you wanted. And as I said, if you have any questions regarding build advice or technical support, be sure and check out the free Facebook fan page. Remember, that's the fan page, not my personal page on Facebook, the Facebook fan page. And the link to that is on every video I've ever done. I can add it to the video notes on this video after YouTube publishes it. And for everybody who's contributed to the channel, thank you for your continued support. And of course, for everybody who's joined in, thanks for being a part of it. I really appreciate your continued support and all the kind words. And I look forward to seeing you all again very soon. Until then, bye for now.